Feinbaum Show. Weekdays at 3 Eastern on the ESPN app and on the SEC network.
This MLB season is action-packed. It's adrenaline-filled. It's must-watch.
It's gone! I have no idea. That ball was the rest is history.
It's Next Generation Baseball. Celebrate this Mother's Day on Sunday Night Baseball. Cardinals, Red Sox, Sunday at 7 Eastern on ESPN. Presented by Casamigos Tequila.
He's 6'10". He's wet from three. Murray might be their second most important player. You're not going to convince me that Michael Porter is not their second best player.
The right time with Bomani Jones.
You can listen or follow on the ESPN app or wherever you listen to podcasts.
You can't miss a moment with Greeny.
59 years ago tomorrow, Nicholas Kim Coppola was born. You may know him as Nicolas Cage. Favorite Nick Cage movie?
Face Off is the one I was thinking of, the one with John Travolta. I couldn't remember the name of it.
Face Off is unbelievable.
I like that movie. Hembo, have you ever seen any movie with Nicolas Cage in it? If I showed you a picture of Nicolas Cage, would you know it was him?
He's on the screen right now.
Take Hembo's Face Off.
Greeny, weekday mornings at 10 Eastern on ESPN Radio. Plus, you can watch and listen on the ESPN app.
Friday on Canty and Carlin, the Celtics live for another day. Big win in Philly.
And the Lakers look to close out the Dubs in Game 6 in L.A.
Friday, Canty and Carlin, 3 p.m. Eastern on ESPN Radio and the ESPN app.
Coming to you live from the Superbook Sports Studios in Kettering. You're listening to Dayton's ESPN Radio, 1410 Wing AM.
All right, everybody, welcome in. Happy Friday. Kenner and Kev, minus Kev today. You're stuck with just me. Justin Kenner with you here live on Dayton's ESPN radio station, 1410 Wing AM. I hope everyone's had a great week. I hope everyone's had a great Friday. And we're going to wrap up the week with having a lot of fun. We got cap or no cap to kick things off here this afternoon. We're going to break down the Browns on the Bengals schedule. Of course, that was released last night. And as I predicted, Browns and Bengals. The Bengals just keep thinking that they're too good for the Cleveland Browns, that they're too good to play the Cleveland Browns in week one. They thought they were going to play the Kansas City Chiefs and Patrick Mahomes, a two-time MVP, the two-time Super Bowl MVP, a two-time Super Bowl champion. Now you're playing the Browns. You're playing the Browns. That's what you get. And you're going to get an 0-2 start to the season. That's how things are going to go. And we're going to talk about that here again. I hope everyone's had a great day. We're off and rolling. We got plenty to get into. The Cincinnati Reds will be back in action tonight. How about the Reds taking 2 of 3 from the New York Mets? When you look at a team that spent $150 million, less than $100 million in total payroll, going up against a team that's at $500 million. I mean, it's pretty fascinating when you look at the fact that the Reds are able to take 2 of 3. I know the Mets have struggled, but the Reds are 5 games under 500. They're just kind of hanging around. The NL Central is not very good, and the Cincinnati Reds, if they just continue hanging around, it's going to be weird and interesting come the trade deadline. And we're going to talk about that coming up here around the corner. I do not think the Reds are very good, but I think that they are going to be a product of a lot of not very good teams around them. And when you look at what they have coming up around the corner, it's going to be fascinating. But I do want to kick off the show doing what we do each and every Friday, even though I'm by myself today. Kevin will be back with us next week, but we'll kick off the show doing what we do every Friday. And that, of course, is playing our favorite game. And that, of course, is cap or no cap.
It's time for everyone's favorite segment. Cap or no cap?
Cap or no cap? We're live on the Justin Kenner Show Facebook page, so head there right now, and you can weigh in on these cap or no cap topics that we throw out to you. We're going to get to the schedules breakdown coming up here in just a moment. Just hang in tight. First off, right off the bat, cap or no cap? So Kyle Shanahan, the head coach of the San Francisco 49ers, when he was talking about Sam Darnold, all right, he's talking about Brock Purdy. And then, of course, you look at the 3 quarterbacks that the San Francisco 49ers have. They have a lot of quarterbacks, but the question is, do you have a legit quarterback of the 3? Well, Kyle Shanahan says that they don't just have one franchise quarterback, they have 3 franchise quarterbacks. So that's how we kick it off. Cap or no cap, the San Francisco 49ers have 3 franchise quarterbacks. That is the biggest load of not crap I've ever heard of in my life. I'm going to call crap on that, not crap. The San Francisco 49ers do not have 3 franchise quarterbacks on their roster. In fact, I'm still looking for one. I don't think they have one franchise quarterback on that roster. You cannot tell me that Sam Darnold, who has just hopped around the league now since coming in 2018, who was a highly sought-after prospect coming out of college, he's not a franchise. Franchise quarterbacks don't hop around. Aaron Rodgers, Tom Brady's, those guys, they stick with their teams the whole time because their team wants to make sure that they milk everything out of them before they finally let them go. That's not Sam Darnold. And Brock Purdy, we don't know who the heck he is. He had one very impressive playoff run that came up short because of that injury. Who knows what would have happened? I still think San Francisco ends up beating the Eagles and getting to the Super Bowl, potentially even beating Kansas City because that's how good I think San Francisco is. But San Francisco is very, very good for a lot of reasons. They have a ton of weapons at wide receiver, strong offensive line, one heck of a run game, and one of the best defenses in the National Football League. So no, I call big cap on that. They do not have 3 franchise quarterbacks, and I don't even think that they have one franchise quarterback. It'll be interesting to see what ends up happening with San Francisco this year. But, man, it will speak volumes of Kyle Shanahan if they just continue rolling, if they just continue winning this season, if they just continue dominating opponents with Sam Darnold at quarterback, because Brock Purdy, who knows when he'll be readily available for this team. But if they just continue winning no matter who's back there, that speaks volumes about Shanahan and his offense and just the makeup of the San Francisco 49ers. All right, moving on. Cap or no cap? The Cincinnati Reds are 16-21 coming off of their series win over the New York Mets. The Reds will reach 500 before the end of May. Cap or no cap? We're live on the air right now, by the way. So, cap or no cap? With that being said, the Reds are 16-21 coming off of their series win over the New York Mets. The Reds will reach 500 before the end of May. Cap or no cap? I'm going to say no cap on this. I think that the Cincinnati Reds legitimately have a shot. When you take a look at the fact that they just wrapped up taking 2 or 3 from the New York Mets, the Mets have a high payroll. They have a lot of talent, but they're not a very good baseball team right now. And the one thing that's interesting about what the Reds are doing, they're losing to the good teams, but they're beating the bad teams. Every bad team that they've played this year, they've taken the series from. That's fascinating to me. And a reason I say this is because of look at what's coming up. They start a series with the Marlins tonight. The Marlins are bad. Then they got Colorado, who's also bad, coming up immediately after that. Then they got the Yankees, who are last place in their division. I know they're 3 games above 500. The Yankees aren't a bad team, but they have over $120 million in players on the IL right now. So they're not even they're not even full strength. I think the Reds have a shot to go with them. And then, you have the St. Louis Cardinals to close out the month as far as at home. And that team right now has 13 wins. They're dead last in the NL Central. I think that the Reds, they continue playing 500 baseball. I think they can close the gap on this 5-game under 500 deficit. I still think that the Reds have a very good shot to get back to 500. Am I telling you that they're a playoff team? No. Am I telling you that they're going to win this division? No. But I don't think this division is as good as what we think it is, especially with the fact that the Pittsburgh Pirates are sitting there at the top. I saw in the Reds media guide that came out yesterday that from, I think, April 24th to now, the Reds are the only team in the NL Central with a winning record. I hate baseball because of all these random stats that they put out. You can paint any picture you want. You can put makeup on a pig and make it pretty in baseball, and that's what we're doing with the Reds. But the bottom line is I think they have a legitimate shot to get back to 500 by the end of May. What say you? The Justin Kinner Show Facebook page, we are live. Check it out in the comment section. Do you agree or disagree? I think the Reds have a legitimate shot at getting back to 500 by the end of May. Next up, cap or no cap? Ohio State's Kyle McCord will be a Heisman finalist this upcoming season. I know Kevin and I have used this one in the past. We got an email kind of asking our thoughts on who the quarterback, what the situation was going to be as far as quarterback for the Buckeyes. Not really who it's going to be because we all pretty much know it's Kyle McCord. But is Kyle McCord the guy? Think about how spoiled we are as Buckeye fans when it comes to the talent that we've had at quarterback, going on from Jim Tressel, obviously, into Urban Meyer, and now Ryan Day. And as you know, Ryan Day taking over after a couple legends in Jim Tressel and Urban Meyer. But to take over and have the quarterback in Kyle McCord, or the quarterbacks he's brought in compared to those guys, head and shoulders better. He's elevated the quarterback game. Kyle McCord, we don't know much about. I don't think his game is as sexy as C.J. Stroud's or Justin Fields, but could he be the guy? So cap or no cap, Ohio State's Kyle McCord will be a Heisman finalist this upcoming season. I'm going to say no cap to that. I'm going to say absolutely he will be a Heisman finalist, and he should be. When you have Marvin Harrison Jr. and you have Ibuka and you have the wide receiving core that Ohio State has with the balance with the run game, And if the fact that it's the scheme of Ryan Day, there is no reason why Kyle McCord should not be a Heisman finalist when it's all said and done. If Ohio State beats Notre Dame, which they should, they get undefeated all the way to Michigan, which they should be, and I don't know, maybe beat Michigan because they should. There is no reason why Kyle McCord should not be a Heisman finalist when it's all said and done. And if he is not, then that means Ryan Day has made a mistake. Made a mistake with Kyle McCord, made a mistake with this quarterback room and not being prepared for post-CJ Stroud. So I have trust in Ryan Day that he has handled the offensive room and the quarterback room perfectly since coming in. I have full faith in Kyle McCord. I think he'll be a Heisman finalist when it's all said and done. All right, moving on. Last one here, cap or no cap, as we kick the show off here on a Friday. The Cleveland Browns will have more wins than the Cincinnati Bengals in 2023. You're all going to say crap. You're all going to say cap. You're all going to call me names. That's fine. I say no cap. I broke down the schedule 3 times, 4 times, 5 times, took a nap, woke up, did it 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10 times. The Cleveland Browns have one of the easiest schedules in football. I'm not telling you that the Browns are better, although I could potentially get to that point. The Cleveland Browns have a significantly easier schedule than the Cincinnati Bengals. You brag about all the primetime games you get. That's fine. I'll take playing a bunch of scrubs at 1 p.m. every Sunday while you brag about losing your primetime games every week. Have it, Bengals fans. I don't care. We're going to break down the schedules. We're going to weigh this out coming up. But what the bottom line is when you look at the fact that the Cleveland Browns and who they have on this schedule, I mean, right now, you're playing the Colts, all right? You're playing the Cardinals. You're playing the Titans. You're playing Denver. You're playing a bad Rams team, all right? You're playing the Bears. You're playing Houston. You're playing Cincinnati in week 1, who does not play well to start the season. And then you get Cincinnati in week 2, in week 17, who many people believe will be sitting their starters because they'll have everything wrapped up by then. I do not believe that to be the case. I believe that Cleveland will get one of the 2 against Cincinnati. I believe they'll split with everyone in the division. But you look at all those other opponents that the Browns have compared to the Bengals, I think that puts the Browns in a significantly better position than the Cincinnati Bengals heading in to this season. Cap or no cap? I haven't viewed the Facebook page yet. I'm about to kind of skim through all of these and weigh your thoughts on all of these. I'm going to skim through them one more time. Cap or no cap? You respond in the chat section, and then I'll read them when we come back. The San Francisco 49ers head coach Kyle Shanahan said that they believe they have 3 franchise quarterbacks. Cap or no cap? The Cincinnati Reds are 16-21 coming off of their series win over the Mets. The Reds will reach 500 before the end of May. Cap or no cap? Ohio State's Kyle McCord will be a Heisman finalist this upcoming season. Cap or no cap? And the Cleveland Browns will win more games than the Cincinnati Bengals in 2023. Cap or no cap? Sit on those. Let me hear your thoughts in the comment section. We'll even open up the phone lines. 518-1410. Give me a call. I'm bored. I'm by myself today. I wouldn't mind having another voice to kind of chat it up with. So give us a call. 518-1410. Kinner and Cav here on a Friday. We'll be right back.
It's the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash.
Justin, you're awesome, baby.
Right here on 1410 ESPN Radio. ESPN 1410 Wing AM weather.
Our forecast calling for showers and thunderstorms and 64 tonight. Chance of thunderstorms, 78 Saturday. Mostly cloudy, slight chance of showers on Sunday and a high of 73. I'm Rick Schremp for 1410 ESPN Radio.
We all hear the radio ads about the IRS. They tell you to be afraid, to be scared, and they try to frighten you into calling. I'm not here to do that. Tax Relief Advocates is different. TRA is here to tell you that if you owe money to the IRS, whether it's $5,000, $50,000, or $500,000, we have a solution. It doesn't matter if you're sitting in your car, at work, or with your kids. No matter where you are, call now. 800-575-4214. Don't lose hope. TRA can eliminate or reduce what you owe to the IRS. There is zero risk to you. If we can't reduce your tax debt, then you pay nothing. Our passion is taxes and helping individuals fix their IRS problems. We have a 5-star rating on Google and Yelp and an A+ with the Better Business Bureau. You don't need to be afraid of the IRS any longer. End your tax nightmare today by visiting us online at TRA.com or call 800-575-4214. That's 800-575-4214. Tax Relief Advocates. Real solutions for real people.
Finding great people to hire can be like trying to find a needle in a haystack, but not with ZipRecruiter.
Their powerful matching technology delivers so many qualified candidates, it's like finding a needle in a needle stack. In fact, 4 out of 5 employers who post on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. For less hay and more needles, head to ZipRecruiter.
And right now, you can try ZipRecruiter for free. That's right, free. At ZipRecruiter.com/free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/free.
Boot Barn honors a Western legacy built by those who persevere through resourceful determination. Ariat honors that same legacy by bringing innovative technology to classic pieces. Driven by a dedication to the craft, Ariat blends timeless Western artistry with advanced performance features for the modern cowboy and rodeo athlete. Out west, ingenuity is second to none. Ariat at Boot Barn.
Make sure that your home's heating and cooling system is being cared for by your local Lennox Premier dealer, William Brockman & Sons Heating and Air Conditioning. They're offering special saving opportunities on a new Lennox system, so call them today at 937-222-8638 or visit online at DaytonHeatingandCooling.com to learn more. Dealer license number, Ohio license number 14911.
With over 15 years of experience as your local lawn health provider, Lawn Plus knows what it takes to provide a thick, healthy lawn. We offer fertilization and weed control programs, aeration and seeding, as the best defense against weeds is a thick turf. If your current lawn care company is providing 6 to 8 applications, that is far too many. We offer the highest quality products and service to get the best results in just 4 applications a year. Call us today at 937-839-LAWN, and remember, if you give a weed an inch, it'll take a yard.
The days of the week mean value at the home for fun food, sports, and spirits, Frickers. Monday, boneless frickin' chicken wings. Tuesday, traditional frickin' chicken wings. Wednesday, sirloin steak special. Thursday, frickin' chicken chunks. Frickers offers even more savings by offering double points on everyday values when you download and use the Frickers app. Double points on everyday value purchases. The place that saves you more money every day is the home for fun food, sports, and spirits, Frickers.
Have you experienced foot or ankle pain during or after sports, running, or exercising at the gym? Nagging aches in your foot or ankle that won't go away? Podiatric physicians can provide you with important foot care solutions, shoe inserts, or show you how to support your feet and ankles so you're able to compete or exercise comfortably. Ohio Foot and Ankle Medical Association podiatric physicians are located throughout the state and have been serving the profession and the public for over 100 years. To find a member of the Ohio Foot and Ankle Medical Association near you, visit associationsadvanceohio.com.
Hey Dayton, this is Dan First, 5th generation at First Florist and Greenhouses. Our garden center is now open for this season and full of beautiful garden plants, vegetables, and more. You'll be amazed at the quality and volume of plants in stock. So stop in and visit us at 1306 Troy Street in Dayton. Call us at 937-223-1213 or visit us online at firstflorist.com. That's F-U-R-S-T, florist.com.
Shop First Florist, celebrating 118 years in business at the same location, 1306 Troy Street in Dayton.
$5,000 sign-on bonus. That's right. My friends at Cordell Transportation are now hiring experienced Class A CDL drivers with excellent work history. If that's you, apply now. Cordell Transportation offers home daily dedicated lanes, no-touch freight, and brand new equipment, plus a $5,000 sign-on bonus paid over 18 months, paid orientation, and company 401k with company match. Apply online at CordellTransportation.com. Cordell Transportation, driven to succeed.
Have you Googled yourself lately? Are there negative posts from an ex-employee or from a former client? Maybe an outdated news article or sensitive personal information about your family? Search engines don't always get it right. For right or wrong, it's your reputation on the line. That's where Reputation Defender by Norton comes in. One of the most trusted names in online reputation repair, Reputation Defender has been fixing people's search results for over 15 years. Their cutting-edge approaches help you to wipe away unwanted information in your search results. They also promote the good stuff so that it rises to the top, helping you put your best foot forward. Your good name is too valuable to leave to the whims of a Google algorithm. Take control with Reputation Defender. You can start by getting your free reputation report card at reputationdefender.com or call 800-401-6681 to speak to an expert. That's 800-401-6681.
Spring into spring hiring with Indeed. Their powerful hiring platform makes it easy to attract, interview, and hire candidates all in one place. Visit Indeed.com/credit.
All right, everybody, welcome back. Justin Kinner with you here on Dayton's ESPN radio station, 1410 Wing AM, live here on a Friday. Hope everyone's had a great week. I hope everyone's had a great Friday, and I hope everyone has some fun plans lined up for the weekend. For me, it's golf, and more golf. Pretty excited about that. Where are you guys all golfing this weekend? Like, we kind of golf all over the place. I enjoy that. I have a couple friends who are members at places, and I have nothing against being a member somewhere. If I could afford it, I probably would. But point is if you would you rather be a member somewhere and golf at the same course every single time, or would you rather like hop around and play on different courses? Like, that's why I've always been kind of torn on to become a member somewhere here in town. Is like, okay, but if I'm a member there, then that's the only place I'm going to golf. Because then I have friends who aren't members at certain places. Then like they feel like they have to golf, and then they have to pay a ton of extra money. So then they're guilted into doing that, or they just golf on their own. So it's like, I'm just curious how other people kind of balance that out. How many people are members around here, and how many other people just kind of golf around? Do you play the field, if you will? Like, I'm kind of curious how people narrow that down. But I found a place over in Miamisburg, the Mound. Love it. Just a small little 9-hole course. I've golfed there a lot over the last couple of weeks. It's price friendly. It's like I said, I'm able to sneak out there like early in the morning, get a quick round of 9 in, and then I'm back before people even know that I wasn't working at 8 a.m. So it's perfect. But I love that. We came across it on accident, just kind of stumbling around looking for different courses. I love places like that. Like, we have the ones everyone goes to around here, but I am kind of curious. What are some of the places that you've kind of snuck up on that you're like, oh man, this place is really cool? But shout out to the Mound over in Miamisburg. I stumbled across that a couple weeks ago, and we've been playing there a lot lately. I'm not a member anywhere. Don't plan to be anytime soon, but I am trying to like figure out like why people want to be a member somewhere when all you're going to do is just have to golf at the same damn course every single time. Why would we do that? I am curious the pros and cons to that. Do you guys belong somewhere? Are you a member somewhere, or do you just like to kind of golf at different places and not feel like you have to be tied down, or feel like if you go golf at other ones, you're wasting your money, with the membership dues over there? So I am kind of curious. Weigh in the chat section. We opened up the show with cap or no cap, and a couple good ones in there. And the Cincinnati Reds one, we'll get to Reds baseball coming up here in a little bit. Promise you that's coming up around the corner. We got the Ohio State Kyle McCord conversation I want to dive back into a little bit more in depth, but let's do it, though, because the NFL schedule was officially released yesterday. This is why I can't believe Kev not here. I mean, I thought for sure Kev would love to be here, but no, he's actually spending time with his mom, so shout out to Kev. Kev will be back, Kenner and Kev, starting next week, but we get a lot to unpack here today. Cleveland Browns schedule was released. The Cincinnati Bengals schedule was released, and as I predicted, Browns-Bengals week 1. So 1 o'clock kickoff Sunday afternoon. Cincinnati, going to be, playing obviously, Bengals Browns week 1 right off the bat. So I'm pretty jacked about that. The Browns welcoming in Cincinnati. I will be there. Buddies of mine and I, we already looked at tickets. We're getting tickets. We're going. I'm going to be there. I might even bring the helmet. I might just wear the helmet the whole time. Cannot wait to watch the Cleveland Browns humble the Cincinnati Bengals week 1. All right. I mean, we're no bad Pittsburgh Steelers team like last year in week 1. I mean, we're no, we're not the Dallas Cowboys with a backup quarterback like they lost to in week 2. Look, the Cincinnati Bengals, you fans keep making excuses. One guy keeps telling me, it'll be the first full preseason. How do you know? Joe Burrow might sneeze and Mr. Sensitive might be out for a month or two. You never know with him. You never know. Joking aside, the Bengals, and I don't know if it's coaching. It's not Joe Burrow. Joe Burrow's slow to start the season as well. But the Bengals are a traditionally slow starting team under Zach Taylor. That's not an opinion. All right. That's not a hot take. That's not me being negative or me trying to dig at you Bengals fans. That is just a fact and common sense. And don't let facts get in your way of evaluating things, because every year we do this. I'm wrong on a lot of stuff, but my goodness, so are you guys. The Bengals should be back-to-back Super Bowl champions in your eyes. You guys scoff at all of this. How many videos have I put out of me laughing at you guys because the Browns whipped the Bengals' ass? Yet you guys sit there and laugh at me when I say the Browns are going to win, and yet we do the same game every time. You're wrong. I'm right. Browns better than the Bengals. I cannot wait. The Browns will be 1-0 to start the season. They're going to beat Cincinnati. Cincinnati is a traditionally slow team to the start of the season. I don't care about the excuses. Oh, he was injured a couple seasons ago. Then don't play. Then don't play. You're hurting your team, apparently. Oh, last year he had the appendectomy. Okay, then don't play. You're hurting your team. All right? That's why you're not an MVP, because you're hurting your team, apparently. I'm joking slightly. But seriously, stop with the excuses. You either haven't or you don't. All right? And it sounds like it's on coaching. Zach Taylor doesn't play starters during the preseason. I'm not an advocate for that, but we have seen that the teams that don't play starters during the preseason are traditionally the teams that don't start the season real well to begin with. So there's that. Cleveland Browns will have Deshaun Watson for the full offseason program, full preseason, and hit the ground running in week 1. I laugh that when you look at how long Deshaun Watson has played football, dominated the league his entire NFL career, but we're going to let 6 games after 2 years off and starting preseason and then being off for 2 months and then picking up again. Like, you guys are just wild to me that you're basing his entire career success off of 6 games. It's kind of cute. It's kind of adorable. You guys just crack me up. You guys are funny. But bottom line is the Browns have the Bengals in week 1. But let's take a look at this Bengals schedule, shall we? If you're just joining us now, we're on the Justin Kinner Show Facebook page. The Bengals schedule is up there, and we're off and rolling. So the Cincinnati Bengals start off the season at Cleveland. Okay, we're going to go down this schedule, and I'm going to tell you whether I think they're going to win or whether they'll lose each of these matchups. We're going to compare the record that I have for the Bengals compared to the record for the Browns, and we'll dissect it from there. So, as you guys know, Bengals at Browns week 1. I'm going to give the Bengals a big O L. The Browns are going to give the Bengals a big O L. All right, the Bengals just I don't know if it's a matchup thing. I don't know what it is, but the way you beat the Bengals is have very good secondary, which the Chiefs have, which the Browns have. All right, the teams that traditionally beat Cincinnati, that's what they have. A pass rush, secondary, and an offense with the run game that can kind of control the clock a little bit. And that's exactly how you beat Cincinnati, and that's why Cleveland has had the success that they have had against them. The Bengals lose to Cleveland in week 1. All right, let's go to week 2, the home opener, the Baltimore Ravens. Look, if you would have played Baltimore 4, 5, 6 weeks into the season, I would take Cincinnati. But you mix the fact that Cincinnati is slow to start each and every season in the Joe Burrow, Zach Taylor era, on top of the fact that the Baltimore Ravens, there's no more distraction. Their wide receiving room is really good now. All right, their defense and offense, unless barring any injuries between now and then, is healthy. And there's no distractions. There's no contract disputes. There's no will he play, will he not play. He slightly, turned his ankle, so he's not going to risk playing on it. Now he's not going to play the rest. No, you're going to get the best version of Lamar moving forward. You're going to get the best version of the Ravens moving forward. And keep in mind, you guys can mock the Ravens all you want, but the Baltimore Ravens are a team that the last 2 years have been in first place until the final month of the season until Lamar got hurt. You could brag about back-to-back AFC championships all you want, Bengals fans, but with those titles comes an asterisk of Lamar got hurt in both of them. It's as simple as that. Not a hot take. It's an opinion. Or it's not a hot take. It's not an opinion. It's a fact. Go look at it. First place all season long, every year that Joe Burrow's been here until that last week or last month of the season when Lamar goes down. It's as simple as that. 0-2. 0-2 to start the season, just like last year. Now, before you guys get mad and panic, did that impact the Bengals last year? No, it did not. Started out 0-2, still won the division, still made it to the AFC Championship game. Relax. We still got a lot of this schedule to go through. Super Bowl rematch from 2 years ago, Rams and Bengals. I don't think the Rams are as good as they were. They've continued to lose piece after piece. I know they have some of the big heavyweight pieces there, and Aaron Donald, you have Matthew Stafford, you have Cooper Kupp. But after that, who do you have? They don't have a whole heck of a lot of pieces. I like the Rams. I like Matthew Stafford. I love Aaron Donald, but I don't think that this is a very deep Rams team. They might be better than expected because Matthew Stafford and Cooper Kupp will be healthy, but I don't think that this is a deep team to where if any of those guys get hurt, that they'll have, a lot of depth to kind of rely on. So at the end of the day, I think that the Bengals get the big win at home in the Super Bowl rematch. How about at the Titans? The Titans are a disaster. That's going to be a win for the Cincinnati Bengals. The Cardinals are going to be at the Cardinals. The Cardinals are another disaster of a franchise, and that doesn't matter. I don't care if they have Kyler Murray or not, which they will not have Kyler Murray for this. So guess what? That's going to be another win right there. The Bengals are 3-2 to start the season. Now, this is the interesting one, the Seattle Seahawks. I like the Seattle Seahawks. I like them a lot. The fact that their third best wide receiver is Jackson Smith-Njigba, who many scouts say that he was the number one wide receiver in the draft this year. I like that he's their number 3. I like Lockett. I like Metcalf. I think Geno played really well. And then you look at Walker and the two-headed monster they have at the running game. And then they got much better, significantly better defensively. I really like the Seahawks. If this was at Seattle, I would take Seattle, but I think it'll be a close one. I do Bengals come home with a win as far as that's concerned. So that puts the Bengals at 4-2 heading into the bye week. You guys are mad because I talk about how slow the Bengals start each year. If 4-2 is slow to start the season, I don't know what to tell you. The Bengals will be just fine. Coming out of the bye week, San Francisco, the 49ers, they have everything that you need to beat the Cincinnati Bengals. They have a run game, an offensive line, a quarterback that is not going to dominate in the air, which means they're going to run, and they're going to run it a lot. And they also have a defense, one of the best defenses in the league. They're going to get to Joe Burrow. They're going to put pressure on Joe Burrow. And they also have a great secondary. That's how you beat the Cincinnati Bengals. I think the Cincinnati Bengals lose coming out of the bye week to the San Francisco 49ers. Sunday Night Football, the Buffalo Bills. The Buffalo Bills. Look, the Buffalo Bills, this is going to be an opportunity for them to kind of get a little bit of revenge. They're angry. They're ticked off. Even in that game, the tragic game with Hamlin going down, there was no final result to that, but Bengals fans, you chirped. The Bengals, they chirped that they were going to win that game anyways, which was absolutely insane to say. And then you go on to get knocked out in the playoffs by the Cincinnati Bengals on your home field. I think that Buffalo gets a revenge win. I think the Bengals lose 2 coming out of the bye week. I think Buffalo, Josh Allen, Stephon Diggs and company, it's a much better Bills team than last year. They seem more locked in now. I'm going to go with Buffalo getting that win on Sunday Night Football against the Cincinnati Bengals. Now things kind of get interesting. I have the Houston Texans. That's a win for the Cincinnati Bengals. No worries there. Baltimore, even though, the Cincinnati Bengals will lose to Baltimore in week 2 at home. Now we're a little bit into the season. Now the Cincinnati Bengals are rolling. I'm going to have them getting a win at Baltimore. I have most of these guys splitting with everyone in the division except the Steelers. We'll get to that in a moment. I think Cincinnati gets a win over Baltimore on the road on Thursday Night Football. The Bengals will beat the Steelers. I don't care how good the Steelers are defensively. I'm not sold on their quarterback or offensively. How about Monday Night Football, Week 13 at the Jaguars? All right, the Bengals at the Jaguars, a very interesting matchup. I like Trevor Lawrence, but Trevor Lawrence versus Joe Burrow, it's going to be a fun matchup right there. But ultimately, at the end of the day, I think that the Cincinnati Bengals will be better than the Jags, and they'll come out on top there. Oh, and then guess what? You have the Colts. That's a win. I think you'll beat the Vikings in Week 15. That's a win. And I think you're going to get the win against the Steelers. I'm sorry, you're going to split with the Steelers, as I mentioned a little bit ago. So you'll lose at Pittsburgh, and then you're going to lose at Kansas City. Sorry, you're not beating Kansas City. Kansas City is locked in. They're better than they were last year, and they're the defending Super Bowl champions, and they're going to be competing for that top seed as well. I think they lose to Kansas City, and then I think they beat the Browns at home on that Week 18 matchup, because everyone keeps being cocky and saying, that they'll have the division wrapped up by then, that, oh my gosh, guess what, that they're going to have the 1 seed wrapped up, so they're going to rest their starters. The Cincinnati Bengals will be playing their starters in Week 18, as they will possibly be playing the Browns for the division, or still trying to be playing for seeding purposes. But ultimately, there you go. That's your win-loss for the Cincinnati Bengals. So let's go. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 losses for the Cincinnati Bengals, 12-7 on the season. 12-5 on the season, I'm sorry. 12-5 on the year. That ain't bad. The over-under for them, what it wins, is 11.5. I have them at 12-5. That's respectable, right? What's wrong with that? There's nothing wrong with that. I have splitting with every team in the division. Splitting with every, so the 3 losses, 1 against the Browns, 1 against Pittsburgh, 1 against the Ravens. I have them losing to the Kansas City Chiefs and to the San Francisco 49ers. What is wrong with that? The AFC North is one of the deepest and best divisions in football, and I have you losing to the 49ers and the Kansas City Chiefs. So there's that. There's that as far as we're concerned at the end of the day. But all right, Kenner and Cav live here on 1410 Wing AM. Thoughts, concerns, questions. Dustin Taylor says he has the Bengals winning the division at 11-6. Shaw has the Bengals at 10-7 or 11-6. Deborah, the Bengals 13-4 for the season. So I'm always fascinated with this. Deborah, if they're 13-4, who are their 4 losses? Who are the Bengals losing to? If you want me to say that they are going to be 13-4 and at the top of the AFC and all this stuff, who are the 4 teams that they're losing to, just out of curiosity? Kev, what up? Kev says no cap, by the way. He's taking his mom out for happy hour. So there's that. So you're enjoying yourself a lot more than I am right now. So there you go. Oh, man, a lot of stuff coming in. I'm going to have to wade through these, and then we'll get to some of this on the other side. But, yes, the Bengals, 12 wins, 5 losses, as I comb through this schedule as it's laid out. Look, we've done this with knowing the opponents. Absolutely. The bottom line is I think where these opponents are placed matters. I think who you play matters. If the Cincinnati Bengals would have opened up with the Houston Texans and the Colts in weeks 1 and 2, of course that's a 2-0 start. But I think Cleveland's going to be coming out guns a-blazing. I think that they're going to be out with the point to prove. Cincinnati's going to come out slow like they normally do, 0-1. And then the Baltimore Ravens have a lot to prove as well. I think that the Bengals run into 2 buzzsaws in weeks 1 and 2. I think the Bengals are a cocky team. They're arrogant. They feel themselves. Their fan base is obnoxious, and they feel themselves as well. It's a humble start to the 2023 season for your Cincinnati Bengals. Kenner and Cav, 1410 Wing AM. We'll be right back.
Listen, stream, watch. It's the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash, right here on Dayton's ESPN Radio, 1410 Wing AM.
Finding great people to hire is like trying to find a needle in a haystack. It's pretty difficult, right? Well, ZipRecruiter has mastered finding a needle in a haystack, so they take it to the next level. They make hiring so simple that it's like finding a needle in a needle stack. And that's why you should try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. Here's what it's like to use ZipRecruiter. They have so many qualified candidates that it's easier to find the right ones for your roles. In fact, 4 out of 5 employers who post on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. That's a lot of needles. So how do they do it? ZipRecruiter's powerful technology sends you candidates who are a great match for your job, and you can even invite your top choices to apply. So if you want less hay and more needles, head to ZipRecruiter.
ZipRecruiter, the smartest way to hire. And right now, you can try ZipRecruiter for free. That's right, free. At ZipRecruiter.com/free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/free. ZipRecruiter.com/free.
I switched to Boost Mobile and got a free Samsung Galaxy A23 5G phone. Want to know the best part?
It was free?
Nope.
The fact that it's on America's largest 5G networks?
Nope. It's the ding.
Oh yeah, love the ding.
Right? It's all about the ding. It's the dingarooski, the dingaroner, the ring-a-ding-ding.
Unleash your power to save with Boost. Get a free Samsung Galaxy A23 5G phone when you switch. Boost Mobile. Unleash your power.
And the ding.
Limited time offer. New customers only. Available on select networks. 5G not available everywhere. One device per line. Tax excluded. Additional restrictions apply. See your local Boost Mobile store for details.
Hi, Greg McAfee here with McAfee Heating and Air. Dayton was founded on blue-collar work. Many Daytonians worked at companies like NCR, McCall's Publishing, Delco, and the Huffy Corporation. Blue-collar work set Dayton apart in innovation and forward thinking. And today, we have a company like McAfee Heating and Air. Our apprenticeship program is a perfect opportunity to get paid while you learn. Go to mcair.com and apply today.
If you need new roofing, siding, or gutters, skylights, or patio enclosures, if you're a homeowner or business and need someone you can trust, don't take a chance. Enhance with Lance. Lance Roofing and Siding in Fairborn has been satisfying customers since 1993 and hold an A+ rating with the Better Business Bureau. Lance Roofing and Siding, 8460 Dayton Springfield Road in Fairborn. Call for a free estimate at 864-2722. That's 864-2722 or online at lanceroofing.com.
This is Keith Byers for Superbook Sports. You spend valuable time thinking about which bets to place each week. So why wouldn't you want the best company in the business to be the one who handles those bets? Superbook Sports is the most trusted name in Las Vegas, and it's now live right here in Ohio for all your sports wagering needs. Superbook has a team of dedicated odds makers behind the counter in Las Vegas setting all the prices. We're talking about guys with decades of experience showing you why Superbook has the best odds around. And right now, you can look ahead to Hockey and Hoops postseason and place a bet on who you think will take home the title. So download the Superbook Sports app or visit superbook.com to wager and win today. Visit superbook.com for terms and conditions. Gambling problems? Call 1-800-589-9966. Call 1-800-589-9966. Gambling problems? Call 1-800-589-9966. Call 1-800-589-9966.
He's a former coach with 2 sons who played professional basketball. Satch Sullinger's a competitive individual, but his golf game was suffering because of painful joints.
Right. That's real important. The golf game. Right. As we get older, we create these bad habits because we're relegated to hit a certain way.
QC Kinetics used regenerative treatments, all natural healing properties from Satch's own body, to restore those damaged joints and get his golf game back on track.
QC Kinetics regenerative medicine is regenerating me, all natural. And that's what I'm about. I'm going to tell everybody why I'm better.
Oh, and by the way, it looks like the competitive Satch is back.
We're all in the same boat, and I'm getting better, and I'm watching them stay old.
Go to QCkinetics.com. Get relief and your game back. Call for your complimentary consultation.
Call QC Kinetics, 937-936-0325. That's 937-936-0325. 937-936-0325.
Ohio's public school educators are the heart of our schools and our communities. This Teacher Appreciation Week, join the Ohio Education Association in saying thank you. Students, tell us what makes your teacher great. They could win a vacation at an all-inclusive resort courtesy of NEA member benefits or an elementary classroom makeover from Carson DeLosa. And your class can win a pizza party. Nominate your teacher today at www.ohea.org/thank-a-teacher.
$5,000 sign-on bonus. That's right. My friends at Cordell Transportation are now hiring experienced Class A CDL drivers with excellent work history. If that's you, apply now. Cordell Transportation offers home daily dedicated lanes, no-touch freight, and brand new equipment, plus a $5,000 sign-on bonus paid over 18 months, paid orientation, and company 401k with company match. Apply online at CordellTransportation.com. Cordell Transportation, driven to succeed.
At Harley-Davidson of Xenia, the atmosphere is positively electric as we look to the future. Our name may have changed, but Harley-Davidson of Xenia has been locally owned since 1984. Under our new management, the staff and store are buzzing to get you set up for the open road. Whether you're shopping for merchandise, a new bike, or just need some maintenance on your current ride, Harley-Davidson of Xenia is here for you. Visit us online to learn more and to place a reservation on your new bike. hdofxenia.com.
Summit Racing keeps your ride road trip ready with millions of in-stock parts from all the best brands. Summer travel starts at summitracing.com. Everything you need for anything you drive.
Jeff Graham.
Trotwood's coach. Okay.
Trotwood, yeah. Trotwood coach Jefferson County. And I always, I'm actually supposed to get out there later in the springtime. I'm going to come see him later in the spring. But I used to spend a lot of time when we played together at the Jets in Dayton, Ohio with him. I'm familiar with Evans and always tease him. Man, he's just out there.
Don't miss the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash. Weekdays from 3 to 6 p.m. on Dayton's ESPN Radio, 1410 Wing AM. College football playoffs, Browns, Bengals, Buckeyes, and more. Catch the Keith Fire Show Mondays at noon on 1410 ESPN Radio.
Justin Kinner back with you here on a Friday. 518-1410, 518-1410. That is the number to call and jump in on the conversation. I appreciate all of those who've kind of weighed in and thrown out a couple different golf courses here in the Miami Valley. So I was weighing in on this a little bit ago. So we have a couple friends that are all members at, just various country clubs and stuff. And I forget country clubs. It doesn't matter about country clubs. The different golf courses in the area. And I've always been against joining any particular course in the area just because, I don't know about you, but every weekend I would prefer to golf somewhere different. I don't like golfing at the same place every time. And I stumbled across a course I hadn't heard of before, and that was the Mound over in Miamisburg. Love it. 9-hole course. Played it a few times over the last couple of weeks since coming across, since discovering this or whatever. And it's been pretty cool. So I'm curious, what are some other golf courses in the area that you guys kind of spend some time at? And do you prefer to be members somewhere? Or do you like just playing at various different places? Let's see some of these that had come in. Steve Statler, he goes, he's a member, but he plays everywhere. Ron Howard says, Castle Hills? Where's Castle Hills, Ron? Let me know where that's at, by the way. I'm just kind of curious. Shaw says, when I could play, he likes, he goes, when I could play, I'd like both. So being a member somewhere and just kind of playing anywhere. So just playing anywhere is really what it goes, is really what all that matters. John Harvey, I live at Yankee Trace. Kenner, if you ever want to play, let me know. I got you. All right. Sounds good. I'm not very good at golf. I'm obsessed with it, but I'm not very good at it. I'm obsessed with the show. I'm not very good at hosting it either. There's a lot of parallels between hosting a sports talk show and my golf game. Let's just be clear. All right. Let's get into this. So last night, the schedule was released, and I was kind of hopping around a little bit with this schedule, with the schedules for the Browns and Bengals to start. I want to kind of re-go through this Bengals schedule real quick because I messed something up a little bit ago. My wins and losses were a little off. So I want to make sure to kind of, pick up with where I left off. So I asked a little bit ago, Deborah Gall on Facebook, she says that she has the Bengals going 13-4 for the season. Now, I'm always curious, not so much what people have their record being. I'm always fascinated by who do you have your team losing to? Because the wins are one thing. The wins are one thing. Homer fans are always going to have their team with a lot of wins. I'm sure that when you look at the win total I have for the Browns, you'll scoff and roll your eyes at that. But I'm always fascinated by who you have your team losing to and why. And there seems to be a trend coming here. So Deborah Gall says the Bengals going 13-4 for the season. So I asked her who those 4 losses would be. Deborah says 1 loss to the Browns, 1 loss to the 49ers, 1 to the Ravens, and then the most surprising one was the one to the Vikings. Splitting with teams in the division doesn't surprise me. And Deborah, I agree with you. I think there's a good chance they could take both games from the Steelers, but I do believe that the Bengals split with everyone in the division. I don't think that they sweep the Browns, Steelers, or Ravens. I think that they split with each one of those. But of the two to kind of, get 2 wins over, I think Pittsburgh is the most vulnerable to that. So I agree with you there. But the Vikings, and you're not the only one to say the Vikings, by the way. Chase Carter weighs in. He goes, the Vikings will get their first win in Cincinnati since 1992. The Vikings have gotten significantly worse. There's talks of them moving on from Dalvin Cook. I'm fascinated by when you look at, when you think about what makes the Vikings explosive, Justin Jefferson and Kirk Cousins, an average defense, very good run game. Well, that sounds an awful lot like the Buffalo Bills. Why would you not have the Bengals beat the Buffalo Bills, except they're better than the Vikings? The Bills have an elite quarterback, an elite wide receiver, a much better defense than the Vikings, and a good run game to complement it. So that's why I'm only asking Chase and Deborah and some of you others. I'm fascinated by the love for the Vikings. I think the Vikings were a very fun story last year, but they're worse than last year. They got significantly worse. They lost a lot of weapons, and it sounds like they're going to move on from Dalvin Cook as well. I'll be keeping an eye on that, but I am fascinated by that as far as that's concerned. Let's see. Ron Howard says that the Bengals will sweep the Clowns. Dustin Taylor, you said the Bengals will win the division at 11-6. Who are the 6 losses, Dustin Taylor? Message in. I want to know who are the 6 losses. I'm not challenging you. I'm just kind of curious. I think when fans tell you who your team's going to lose to, they're kind of telling you a lot. They're telling you a lot more about your team when they tell you what the losses they're going to have, more so than what wins they're going to have. Because upsets happen all the time, and sometimes you could be upset. But I think I am curious by how people are kind of weighing this as far as that goes. Shaw, same thing. You said the Bengals 10-7 or 11-6. Now, I got the record wrong earlier when I put it out there. I have the Bengals going 11-6 this upcoming season. Their win total's at 11.5. I took the under. Look, the Bengals have one of the tougher schedules in football, but that's deservedly so because the fact that they're winning the division, so because of that dictates who you play the next year. That's why they keep running into the Bills. They keep running into the Chiefs. They keep running into these top-notch teams. But when you look at the Bengals schedule, I have them going 11-6. Now, I'm not going to go through all the wins and losses, but I'm going to give you the losses. Who do you have the Bengals losing to, Bengals fans? That's what I want to know. So 518-1410, you could either give the show a call or in the Justin Kinner Show Facebook page, which you could watch the show live. That's where you can weigh in the comment section. I want to hear who you think they're going to lose to. So tell me what you think their record's going to be and where are the losses coming from? Because it's easy to say the Bengals are easily going to win the division at 13 wins. Then who are their 4 losses? Who are the 4 teams that are beating them? I want to know. So I have the Bengals at 11-6. Now, as I said, I have them splitting with every team in the division. So that's 3 losses right there. Losing to Pittsburgh, losing to Baltimore, losing to Cleveland. I will say I am leaning towards giving Cincinnati both wins over Pittsburgh. Both wins over Pittsburgh. Because I've defended the Ravens. When the Bengals have slaughtered the Ravens in the past, the Ravens were short-manned. Like they didn't have all their weapons. Like when Joe Burrow threw for like 400 plus yards and 5 or 6 touchdowns or whatever it was against Baltimore a few years ago, that was a depleted secondary and one of the worst Baltimore defenses statistically because it wasn't the Baltimore Ravens defense. They were all shorthanded. Now I know that you can ring the excuse bell. Kev's not here. Hold on. There we go. Kev's not here. I got to ring the bell. So it was an excuse bell. Yes, I'm ringing the excuse bell on that, but we could call it an excuse, but let's not act like that's not what happened. Pittsburgh has been fairly healthy defensively. Now, you could talk about Watt's injuries and being out last year, but if you remember, Watt came back. Remember when so Joe Burrow was without Jamar Chase, and Joe Burrow threw all over Pittsburgh. Like, Pittsburgh's the one team that Cincinnati seems to have mastered since Joe Burrow's arrived in Cincinnati. They haven't mastered Cleveland. They haven't mastered Baltimore. In fact, Joe Burrow has a losing record against the Ravens. Joe Burrow has a losing record against Cleveland. The only team that he has a winning record against is the Pittsburgh Steelers. But I'm still going to go and play it safe. I think the Bengals defense got worse than last year, so I'm going to say they're a little bit more vulnerable. I'm going to go ahead and say that they split with everyone in the division. So I have the Bengals going 11-6, okay? 1 loss to the Ravens, 1 loss to the Browns, 1 loss to the Steelers. The other 3 losses, and I could be wrong here, and you guys will tell me I am, but I do have Kansas City. I'm sorry, I do have Kansas City beating them. Kansas City has all the tools that they need. Look, even in all the games that the Bengals have beat Kansas City, you haven't beat Kansas City. You didn't dominate Kansas City. Like, when you go back and you look at the Browns-Bengals series, when the Browns have beat Cincinnati, they beat Cincinnati. They beat them down. All right, it wasn't a game heading into the fourth quarter. More times than not, when the Browns-Bengals play with Joe Burrow in Cincinnati, the Browns own Joe Burrow. It's not an opinion. It's a fact. Go look at the scores. The Browns beat down the Bengals every time. Okay, I know that the Deshaun and the Browns lost the last one or whatever in Cincinnati. Okay, whatever. That's fine. 1 game compared to all the other losses. Let's not act like there's not a pattern there, okay? Bottom line is when the Bengals lose to Kansas City, they lose when they beat Kansas City, it's a 1-possession game. It's whoever has the ball last. And the same thing happened this past time. Who had the ball last? It's a coin flip, but the thing that makes the Bengals vulnerable is even with Orlando Brown Jr., that offensive line is still questionable. It's not very deep, so there's no margin for error. Kansas City has all the guys that they need pass rush-wise. They have a good secondary, and I like what they do offensively, of course. That always seems to make the Bengals defense vulnerable, and the Bengals defense is worse than last year. Just because you replaced Bates and replaced Bell doesn't mean you replace them with guys that are better, and here's the deal. You didn't. So let's not go there. I have Kansas City winning. I have the San Francisco 49ers beating the Cincinnati Bengals for a lot of the same reasons. It's that elite defense that the Niners have. They have a great pass rush. That always hurts the Cincinnati Bengals. They have a great secondary. That hurts the Cincinnati Bengals. And then because they have a Brock Purdy or a Sam Darnold, they're going to run the ball a lot, which means they're going to eat time of possession, and they're going to limit how much time Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase and T. Higgins and that explosive offense is out on that field. I have the Niners taking them, and then I have the Bills. I think the Bills are going to be very motivated. They, in that Hamlin game last year, obviously there was no decision there, but Bengals fans did a lot of chirping. You convinced them that there was no way in hell they were going to win that game anyways, and even if the game would have resumed, it would have been Bengals, right? Then the Bengals get the win in the playoffs. That has not set well in Buffalo. In fact, there's been a lot of off-season drama with some of the distractions for Josh Allen and all that. All those distractions are gone. There's no friendly fire anymore between Bills and Bengals. The Bengals have gotten under the skin of a lot of teams out there. The Bills will come out firing. Those are the 6 losses I have for the Cincinnati Bengals. 11-6, based on how the schedule lays out. I have the Cincinnati Bengals finishing 11-6 with the losses, with 1 loss each to everyone in the division. That's 3 losses. And then Kansas City, Niners, Bills. So there you go. Where are some of the losses? I am curious. David Shaw, he weighs in. Split the division. We agree there, Shaw. He says 49ers. Oh, man, look at me and Shaw. We're all simpatico as far as that's concerned. Jacob Fightmaster. What up, Jake? I think, Jake, you're the Seahawks fan. So you have the Bengals losing to the Seahawks, Ravens twice, and the Cardinals. So that's what, Seahawks. So you have them with 4 losses. That's respectable. That's fine. The Cincinnati Bengals. So the Seahawks, Jacob, they are at home. I said if Cincinnati played at Seattle, I would hand the Bengals a loss there. I think Seattle's very good. I think that I think it's going to come down to them and Eagles in the NFC Championship game, unless we see the Bears take a major stride, make a major step in improvement, and maybe the Lions make that. But for right now, I think that the NFC Championship game is going to be it's going to be two of three teams. It's going to be the Eagles and Niners, or it's going to be the Niners and the Seahawks, or Eagles and Seahawks. I think the three best teams, not even close, the Seahawks are part of that conversation. I like them, but the Bengals have them at home. I'm going to give the advantage to the Bengals as far as that goes. Ron Howard, at Jacksonville, Jags favored to do well. I like Jacksonville. I'm really curious to see what happens with the connection between the wide receiver that they Calvin that they got in Calvin Ridley. Obviously, they traded for him last year. He was suspended for betting, of course. But depending on how big that duo is, I still have to take the Bengals over Jacksonville. I just like the Bengals better than Jacksonville. We'll see what ends up happening there. Jacob Fightmaster says, respectable analysis. I agree. The Eagles are loaded and Seahawks. I don't believe the 49ers are a real deal. They had a miracle with Purdy, and they'll go Lance and have to recover their season. Possibly, but we've seen, it just seems it's been quarterback. The only team in the league that's been able to go quarterback by committee and not miss a beat is the 49ers. But at some point, they need to win it all for us to really give him that true, credible touch on that offense. So there's that. All right, Deborah Gall, she says, I just think the game being late in the season, and I think they will overlook the Vikings. So this goes back to, I was curious why so many people had the Bengals losing to the Vikings this year. So Deborah thinks that because the game is so late in the season that they're going to overlook the Vikings and look ahead to the Chiefs. That's a trap game. I wish Kev Nash was here. We have the excuse bell. I need to get a trap game bell so that I can keep educating people, not Deborah, because Deborah has a very good understanding of what a trap game is. I can't believe how many people, including Kev, and Kev, yes, I'm talking smack about you. How do you not know what a trap game is? You guys don't know the true definition of trap games. It sounds like my girl here, Deborah, she knows exactly what a trap game is. Shout out to Deborah. That's exactly the definition of a trap game. Because I kept saying, why do people keep having the Vikings beating the Bengals? Well, because the Vikings, who are a solid team, not good, they're not horrible, but they're not good either. I think that they are going to be a team that the Bengals are not motivated to play. They're going to be looking ahead to the Chiefs. That's a trap game. That's a valid point, Deborah. I still am not going to go there yet. I got to see how the season plays out, but I do like your explanation as far as that is concerned. There you go. Brian Strong, Justin, ready to watch the Browns get swept. Laugh my ass off week 1, baby. I told you they were going to play week 1. And I'm also telling you, like I've told you, I'm right 70 since doing this show. 75% of the time I've predicted the Browns to beat the Bengals. I've been right. You guys, the odds are not in your favor of beating the Browns. They own you. Let's just be real. The Browns own you. You got Deshaun Watson in his second game ever. Just saying. We'll see what happens. All right, let's take a look at the Browns schedule. Kenner and Kev, 1410 Wing AM.
It's the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash on 1410 ESPN Radio.
Here come Rock and Roll Hall of Famers. Frankie Valli and the Four Seasons. Saturday, July 22nd, Rose Music Center at the Heights. 19 top 10 hits with Frankie Valli and the Four Seasons. Reserved seats on sale now at Ticketmaster.com and the Rose Music Center box office. Don't miss Frankie Valli and the Four Seasons live.
Want to feed your family without breaking the bank? Take a trip to Lee's Famous Recipe Chicken and pick up a 16-piece family meal at a great price. With 16 pieces of our classic honey-dipped, hand-breaded Famous Recipe Chicken, 4 craveable large sides, and 8 fluffy biscuits. It's affordable eats done right. Treat your crowd to the best for less with the Lee's Famous Recipe Chicken 16-piece family meal. Only at Lee's. Famous for chicken.
Family dinners, game nights, and holiday parties. It all happens at home. And we want to help you realize your dream of homeownership. We are the Ohio Housing Finance Agency, and if you're ready to buy a home, we may be able to help. Visit myohiohome.org for more information on down payment assistance, lower interest rates, and more. OFA makes purchasing a home more affordable. Visit myohiohome.org. Home ownership. Make it part of your future.
I switched to Boost Mobile and got a free Samsung Galaxy A23 5G phone. Want to know the best part?
It was free?
Nope.
The fact that it's on America's largest 5G networks?
Nope. It's the ding.
Oh, yeah. Love the ding.
Right? It's all about the ding. It's the dingarooski, the dingaroner, the ring-a-ding-ding.
Unleash your power to save with Boost. Get a free Samsung Galaxy A23 5G phone when you switch. Boost Mobile. Unleash your power.
And the ding.
Limited time offer. New customers only. Available on select networks. 5G not available everywhere. One device per line. Tax excluded. Additional restrictions apply. See your local Boost Mobile store for details.
Get in zone, AutoZone.
Welcome to AutoZone. What are you working on today? Thinking about gas mileage. You know, changing your oil with a full synthetic oil like Valvoline Advanced can help your engine get more miles. Right now, buy a 5-quart jug and get a free STP Extended Life Oil Filter. That's right, free. Get started on your next job today with the parts you need, when you need them, at AutoZone or AutoZone.com.
Get in zone, AutoZone.
Restrictions apply.
Imagine you're looking at a balancing scale with everything you do for other people on one side and everything you do for yourself on the other side. If it isn't balanced, maybe it's time to spend a little more time on you. And therapy is a great place to start. BetterHelp connects you with a licensed therapist online who can help you find that balance and stick to it. Visit betterhelp.com/score to get 10% off your first month. That's betterhelp.com/score.
Summit Racing keeps your ride road trip ready with millions of in-stock parts from all the best brands. Summer travel starts at summitracing.com. Everything you need for anything you drive.
Hey, it's Justin Kinner from the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash. We appreciate all of our listeners and, of course, our sponsors. In fact, if it wasn't for you, we wouldn't be able to do what we do every weekday from 3 to 6 p.m. right here on 1410 ESPN Radio. We take pride in being Dayton's only local afternoon sports talk show right here in the Miami Valley. If you would like to jump in as a sponsor of our show or promote your services within our show, all you have to do is reach out to us directly by texting us at 937-518-1410. Want Kevin and I to endorse your business and services? Just text us. You want to promote an open house, a grand opening, new location, or any other kind of service? Just text us. Bottom line is that we are here to help spread the word and help grow your business. Text us today, 937-518-1410, and we'll give you all of the information that you need to start promoting your business on the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash right here on 1410 ESPN Radio.
On Twitter, make sure to give us a follow. Search 1410 Kinner for Justin Kinner on Twitter. That's 1410 KINNER and ESPN Dayton for the station Twitter handle.
Coming to you live from the Superbook Sports Studios in Kettering. You're listening to Dayton's ESPN Radio, 1410 Wing AM.
Vegas odds for the Cincinnati Bengals their win total is set at 11.5. I'm taking the under. Not because I'm a hater, but we just kind of broke everything down as far as the Cincinnati Bengals are concerned. I do have the Cincinnati Bengals finishing the season 11-6. Now, cap or no cap is how we started the show earlier today. Cap or no cap, the Cleveland Browns will win more games than the Cincinnati Bengals in 2023. Cap or no cap. Now, cap means lie. No cap means truth. I said no cap. Once again, not because I'm a hater, but we're about to break it down. We welcome you back, Kinner and Kev, live here on a Friday. Hope everyone's had a great week. Hope you had a great Friday, and I hope you have a great weekend planned. But no Kev Nash today. He will be back with us next week. He's spending time with his awesome mom for Mother's Day, so I hope all of you out there have some plans as well. May is always a fun month for me. Got married a year ago in May, so my anniversary is coming up. But it's an expensive month for me in the month of May. My wife's birthday is in May. My anniversary is in May. My mother's birthday is in May, and Mother's Day is in May. So there you go. So it's quite it's an expensive month, nonetheless. But I do want to give a shout out to my mom, who I love dearly. Today is her birthday, just a few days before Mother's Day. So I have to tell her how awesome she is today, and of course on Mother's Day. But she knows she's awesome every day. But a shout out to my mom, Belinda. It's her birthday, so happy birthday, Mom. Love you. That's how we start off the show today. So there's that. But all right. Cap or no cap, the Browns will win more games than the Bengals. There we go. I go from telling my mom how much I love her to talking about the Browns winning more games than the Bengals this year. What a great day. It's a great day. Am I right? Schedules came out last night. We broke down the Bengals schedule. Let's break down the Cleveland Browns. As I said a little bit ago, we could sit here and predict, oh man, the Bengals will win 11 games, 12 games, 13 games. I don't care about how many games you think they're going to win. I care about how many losses you think they're going to have and who are those losses against. I think who a team loses to tells a story. I see Adam Selzner's calling in. Adam, you're on hold. I'll get you in a minute. I see Nick and Eric. You guys are on hold as well. I promise we'll get to the calls in a second. It's not who you beat that impresses me. It's who you lose to that tells more of a story. Who you lose to tells me more of a story. It tells me where your weaknesses are. It tells me where you're vulnerable. And that's the thing about the Cincinnati Bengals. Look at who they traditionally lose to over the last couple of seasons. They lose to the San Francisco 49ers. You know what I mean? They lost to the Kansas City Chiefs in the AFC Championship game last year. I know they beat them, but as we talked about, it's almost been like a coin flip game, no pun intended. I know you guys are sensitive about coins, but it's come down to whoever has the ball last. The bottom line is Cincinnati has never dominated Kansas City, didn't dominate the San Francisco. The teams that have given the Bengals fits, like the Browns, are teams with great pass rush and solid secondary and a team that could balance it out with the run. Kansas City has an elite quarterback in Patrick Mahomes, but they also have the dominant pass rush, the secondary, but they also rely on their run game. We don't think of the run game when we talk about Kansas City, but it exists. We don't talk, when we think of the San Francisco 49ers, whether it was Jimmy Garoppolo or Brock Purdy or Trey Lance or whoever their quarterback is, it's never about them. It's about the run game and that elite defense. And then they do utilize their weapons, whether it be Deebo Samuel, and guys like that. So I say all of this to say the losses tell me more about who your team is than the wins. Anyone could beat good. It's the NFL. The worst team in the NFL could beat the best team in the NFL. But when you start looking at the consistency of who you lose to, there's a pattern. The losses for the Bengals tell a pattern. Even last year, they lost to Pittsburgh and they lost to Dallas to start the season. Now, that doesn't mean a whole heck of a lot because we know that the Bengals offensively started a little slow due to the appendectomy and all that stuff and the injuries. Yeah, I've heard all the excuses. I'm going to ring the excuse bell. Kev's not here. I get to play with the excuse bell today. But the bottom line is that although there was an excuse for why they lost to the Steelers and Cowboys at the beginning of the season, it's not as if those excuses that you like to call them, it's not like those reasons that they lost didn't come up to bite the Bengals in the ass later in the year. For instance, they lost to the Steelers because, well, Joe Burrow couldn't get comfortable in the pocket because even though they improved the offensive line, the Steelers D-line ate them for lunch. Their first loss of the season and the last loss of the season, it was the exact same for the Bengals. They had played better in the last game of their season, of course, against Kansas City. But why did they lose? The pass rush. The way they lost to the Steelers in week 1, the way they lost to Dallas in week 2, the way they lost to the Cleveland Browns on Halloween. Your losses tell more of a story than the wins. I don't care about the wins. So I have, as I mentioned earlier, the Cincinnati Bengals finishing 11-6. Their win-loss total, their win total is set at 11.5. I'm taking the under 11-6 on the season. Splitting with the division, 1 loss each, Browns, Steelers, Ravens. Okay. But Kansas City, all right, I'm taking Kansas City. I'm taking the 49ers. I'm taking the Buffalo Bills. I explained that. And every one of those teams has the weapons to attack the deficiencies of the Cincinnati Bengals, who I think are worse than a year ago, especially defensively. I think they'll be very solid offensively. No one's ever said otherwise. But even the best part about their game, the pass game, there's still always that asterisk next to it of, oh my gosh, what about that offensive line? Orlando Brown Jr., great addition, but they're paper thin. Everything has to go exactly perfect for the Bengals. Because if there's one injury, it throws off the whole OL. They have to have everything clicking on all cylinders. So as far as the Cleveland Browns are concerned, let's hit the music. All right. As soon as I find the music, there we go. The Cleveland Browns, cap or no cap, will have more wins than the Cincinnati Bengals. I said no cap. They will have more wins than the Cincinnati Bengals. Not because I'm a hater, not because I'm a homer, but because common sense does kick in here. If you look at the opponents of who the Browns play, when they play them, all of it matters. All of it matters. If you were to tell me that you confidently believe that the Bengals would beat the Browns twice this year, I would say I agree with that to a certain point, but when do the Bengals-Browns play? The reason I have the Browns beating the Bengals in week 1 is because, well, just look at the Bengals the last couple of seasons. They're not a fast-starting team. I think that the Browns, this is going to be the most complete team that the Browns have had to start a season in quite some time. right? Like they know who their quarterback is, a franchise quarterback. They have a very deep wide receiving room. I know years ago when they added Odell Beckham Jr., it was supposed to be this huge deal because they had Jarvis Landry and Odell Beckham Jr., and you had obviously the tight end, and you had all these weapons and Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt. That ended up not working. The wide receiver room was so bad. OBJ was so bad. That wide receiver room, it was Jarvis Landry and everyone else. And Jarvis Landry is not a number one wide receiver. I love Jarvis Landry. I would love if he would have come back to Cleveland. But the bottom line is if Jarvis Landry is your best wide receiver, you do not have a good wide receiving room. But the Cleveland Browns have Amari Cooper. You had Elijah Moore. You had Donovan Peoples-Jones, who, by the way, we could talk about the slow play of Deshaun Watson last year for the Browns. But Donovan Peoples-Jones was a 1,000-yard wide receiver and was elite with Deshaun Watson. Deshaun Watson had a very interesting up and down 6-game stretch. But the one guy that he had the most chemistry with, along with Amari Cooper, was DPJ. I think that two-headed monster right there, which I still would not take over what the Bengals have. But I don't think Browns fans are losing sleep because we don't have Jamar and T, and we have Amari and DPJ. I think the Browns are just fine there. But the depth at wide receiver, the Browns are better there. The Browns are better than they were a year ago. They're going to be healthier up front offensive line-wise. They added depth in the draft with DeJuan Jones. I love that addition. The run game is good. It's one of the best in the league. You have Nick Chubb. All right, so you have great wide receivers, you have great run game, great offensive line, and elite quarterback, and then they revamped that entire defensive line, and they brought in one of the best defensive coordinators in football, Jim Schwartz. I'm telling you, that's a perfect storm for the Cincinnati Bengals, at least to start the season. That's why I have the Browns getting that big Week 1 win against the Cincinnati Bengals. So I have the Browns finishing 12-5. I don't care about the wins. It's the losses. They will lose to the Steelers, they will lose to the Ravens, and they will lose to the Bengals once. They might beat the Bengals twice if you guys have it your way, because if you guys have it your way and the Bengals are getting that 1 seed and they're winning the division, they're probably resting starters in that last week, but I don't see that being the case. Again, I have the Bengals winning 11 games. I have the Browns winning 12. Let's hit the ground running with this. The teams that I have losing, or the teams that I have beating the Cleveland Browns, I have the Jets and the 49ers outside of the division beating the Cleveland Browns, and that's it. That's it. I think you look at the schedule, folks. I'm not being a hater. Look, Browns, Titans, who you have? Browns. Browns, Colts, who you have? Browns. The Browns and the Seahawks. I'm sorry, the Seahawks are in there as well. The Seahawks are getting that loss as far as that's concerned. So the Seahawks are in there. Let me restart that. The Seahawks are a team I'm like flipping a coin on as far as how I want to go about that when it comes to the Browns. I have the Browns beating the Seahawks, but that could very easily be a loss. I get that. Maybe I'm being a homer when it comes to that matchup, but I do have the Browns taking the Seahawks, but it would not surprise me if they lose. I love the Seahawks out of the NFC. I think that's a very dangerous team. But the Browns are not losing to the Cardinals. They're not losing to Denver. They're not losing to the Rams. They're not losing to the Bears. They're not losing to Houston. They will lose to the San Francisco 49ers, although I think that they could beat the San Francisco 49ers. But at least they have San Fran at home. I think they have a good chance to win at home against San Fran. But at the end of the day, I still think San Fran's a more complete team than Cleveland. But obviously quarterback will matter for who the Niners are. But they have the Niners coming out of the bye week as well, so keep that in mind. The Jets is a coin toss as well because, the Jets are supposed to be good. Aaron Rodgers, older quarterback, will he be standing upright by the time we get all the way to Week 17 for a Thursday night football matchup between the two? The bottom line is the Browns have one of the easiest schedules in football. The Bengals have one of the toughest. It is what it is. And the AFC is a very tough division. AFC North is a very tough division. I have the Browns finishing with 12 wins. I have them finishing with more wins than the Cincinnati Bengals. What that means for how far they can go in the playoffs, who knows? But it's going to be a fun season, that's for sure. And I think that the Browns, who you guys like to beat up on, they're a lot better than you think. The difference is you guys say I hate on your team and you hate on mine. When I hate on your team, I still have your team winning 11-plus games, making the playoffs. Because I'm using common sense. You have a very good roster. You have a very good team. But so do the Cleveland Browns. So stop hating. Because you guys you're embarrassing yourselves. Because when we get to the end of the season and the Browns have more wins than the Bengals and they're division champs or second place behind the Ravens, because I really like Baltimore, it's going to be a fun and interesting season saying I told you so. You guys have it coming. I had to eat crow every single week, it seemed, during that season where the Bengals made it to the Super Bowl. This is the revenge year. This is where I get to laugh at you guys every single week. Go Browns. There you go. Browns 12-5 on the season. The Bengals will be 11-6. There you have it. Curious your thoughts. I haven't checked the comment section. Steve Stetler, I believe, is on hold along with Nick and Eric. We'll start with Steve on the other side. Kinner and Cav, 1410 Wing AM. We'll be right back.
It's the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash on 1410 ESPN Radio.
ESPN 1410 Wing AM weather.
Our forecast calling for showers and thunderstorms and 64 tonight. Chance of thunderstorms, 78 Saturday. Mostly cloudy, slight chance of showers on Sunday and a high of 73. I'm Rick Shrimp for 1410 ESPN Radio.
Finding great people to hire can be like trying to find a needle in a haystack, but not with ZipRecruiter. Their powerful matching technology delivers so many qualified candidates. It's like finding a needle in a needle stack. In fact, 4 out of 5 employers who post on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. For less hay and more needles, head to ZipRecruiter.
And right now, you can try ZipRecruiter for free. That's right, free. At ZipRecruiter.com/free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/free.
I always wanted to learn Spanish, but I never thought I'd have the time. Then I discovered Babbel.
Babbel's lessons are fun. They only take like 10 or 15 minutes, and in 3 weeks, presto, you're starting to speak another language, like magic.
I love that Babbel's lessons aren't just robots talking. They're voiced by native speakers, so you get the pronunciation just right.
If you want to learn a language, there's no faster, easier, better way than
Babbel.
Babbel.
Babbel. Go to Babbel.com to try for free. That's BABBEL.com. Babbel.com.
Want to experience a truly unbeatable trio? Stop by Lee's Famous Recipe Chicken and try a 3-piece strips meal at a great price. You'll get 3 of our freshly marinated honey-dipped premium strips, 1 famous dipping sauce, 2 unbeatable sides, and a fluffy biscuit. It's the trifecta of craveable chicken. Discover why premium strips make the perfect meal. Pick up a 3-piece strips meal from Lee's Famous Recipe Chicken. Only at Lee's. Famous for chicken.
At Harley-Davidson of Xenia, the atmosphere is positively electric as we look to the future. Our name may have changed, but Harley-Davidson of Xenia has been locally owned since 1984. Under our new management, the staff and store are buzzing to get you set up for the open road. Whether you're shopping for merchandise, a new bike, or just need some maintenance on your current ride, Harley-Davidson of Xenia is here for you. Visit us online to learn more and to place a reservation on your new bike. hdofxenia.com.
An exciting new career is waiting. KTH Parts Industries in St. Paris is now hiring industrial equipment technicians and offers outstanding starting pay, including shift premium, up to $30.49 an hour. This is an excellent new opportunity that offers an attractive benefit package, medical, dental, and 401k. KTH offers the advantage of being a short drive from home, just minutes from Bell Fountain, Troy, Piqua, and Urbana. The position will fill quickly, so please apply now at kth.net. KTH is proud to be an equal opportunity employer.
I'm Faith Daniels, and we have the pleasure to chat with Blake Maislin, Mr. 444-4444. When accidents happen, who do we call?
Well, you call me. You call 444-4444, and you let us get started immediately.
That means a dog bite, a slip and fall, a car accident. Blake Maislin is the call to make.
That's exactly right. We'll come to your house. We'll go to the hospital room. But whatever we can do to help, that's exactly what we do starting on day one.
24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Blake Maislin, 444-4444, wantmore.com.
And now, Public Education Matters with Ohio Education Association President Scott Tomorrow.
Ohio's public school educators are at the heart of our schools and our communities. And this Teacher Appreciation Week, join us in saying thank you. Our public school teachers are dedicated professionals who meet every challenge to deliver a great education to every student. Go to ohea.org/thank-a-teacher to show your gratitude.
Public Education Matters, brought to you by the Ohio Education Association.
If you haven't been to Chevrolet of Troy, you have to stop in today. What makes us different? A state-of-the-art dealership offering experience, service, parts, and body shop. We're the only dealership in Miami County with an on-site body shop, and we make it easy with experienced, tenured professionals ready to answer your questions and diagnose your vehicle quickly. Our priority is customer service. Make Chevrolet of Troy your first choice for service, parts, and body shop. 1375 South Market Street and online at ChevroletofTroy.com.
You have empty office space to fill or home office to create. You know what you need. You know what you'd like. But you also have a pretty good idea after you've shopped around the usual places what you need and what you like might not happen. Well, then you haven't been to Charles Larrick's Warehouse Outlet. Nobody has their selection. Nobody has their discounts. And every week, there's something new. If you need office furniture, Larrick's Warehouse Outlet can sell it to you for half the price and below manufacturer's selected prices. Half price and below on hundreds of items. Selection from budget to the best. Really, desks from $50 to $5,000. Filing cabinets from $25 to $500. Before you go anywhere else, do yourself a favor and come to Larrick's Warehouse Outlet. With 25,000 square feet of selection, you're not going to go anywhere else. Larrick's Warehouse Outlet at 23 McOil Avenue, Dayton. Open Monday through Friday, 9 to 6. Larrick's, continuing the tradition.
My brother-in-law died suddenly, and now my sister and her kids have to sell their home. That's why I told my husband we could not put off getting life insurance any longer. An agent offered us a 10-year, $500,000 policy for nearly $50 a month. Then we called SelectQuote. SelectQuote found us identical coverage for only $19 a month, a savings of $369 a year.
Whether you need a $500,000 policy or a $5 million policy, SelectQuote could save you more than 50% on term life insurance. For your free quote, call SelectQuote at 1-800-330-1991. That's 1-800-330-1991. Or go to SelectQuote.com. That's 1-800-330-1991. SelectQuote. We shop, you save. Full details on example policies at SelectQuote.com/commercials.
Grab a Wendy's Biggie Bag today with your choice of JBC, double stack or crispy chicken sandwich, plus 4-piece nugs, junior fries, and a small soft drink. Biggie hits every time. U.S. price and participation may vary.
Hey, it's Max Kellerman, and you're listening to Dayton's ESPN Radio, 1410 WINGAM.
All right, everybody, we are back. Justin Kinner with you here on a Friday. Make sure you follow and subscribe to the Justin Kinner Show Facebook page. That's where we are live right now. That's where you could watch us weekdays from 3 to 6. Kev Nash out today. He'll be back next week. As we mentioned a little bit ago, I thought it was kind of wild when I stumbled across this, that Kyle Shanahan, the head coach for the San Francisco 49ers, Kyle Shanahan believes that the Niners have 3 franchise quarterbacks: Brock Purdy, Trey Lance, Sam Darnold. Now, if I was to tell you that a team has 2 quarterbacks that were drafted in the first round and a quarterback that was picked last in the draft, Mr. Irrelevant, and your best quarterback of the 3 is Mr. Irrelevant, I would say you don't have 1 franchise quarterback. Now, I like the trajectory of where Purdy was heading. In fact, he had a 300-yard, 2-touchdown performance in the playoffs against a very good Seahawks team for the 49ers before ultimately going down in the NFC Championship game against the 49ers or against the Eagles. Who knows what the outcome of that game would have been? I'm curious, like thinking back to that, with the Niners, do you guys think that the Niners win that game if Brock Purdy doesn't go down? Like that's what I'm kind of, thinking back to as far as that's concerned. But man, it's just kind of one of those things where I'm like, I don't know how you could sit there and say you have 3 franchise quarterbacks. I know that you don't want to badmouth any of them, but and again, it's just kind of trying to instill confidence in all 3 heading in. But Sam Darnold, that's not sparking the fear in anybody, in any opponent. Teams almost look at going up against Sam Darnold as a week off. As far as that's concerned. And the same thing with Trey Lance, because no one knows anything about him. Trey Lance, I mean, what would the Niners even get if they tried to trade him? If you are a team that's looking for a quarterback and the Niners are looking to trade him, which there are reports that could potentially be the case at some point, if you need a quarterback, what value are you putting on Trey Lance? Now, this is smart of Kyle Shanahan and the Niners. We got to make sure that everyone knows that we have great options. Great options. That if Brock Purdy comes back and we start winning and we don't need Trey Lance or Sam Darnold, what are they worth to you? All that. I don't know. I can't remember when Trey Lance or Brock Purdy is supposed to be back, if he'll be back before the deadline and all that fun stuff, the trade deadline. But interesting nonetheless, that's for sure. All right. Kinner and Cav live with you here on Dayton's ESPN radio station, 1410 Wing AM. How about this? So with what is today? What is the date today? Why don't I even know where the heck I am? May 12th. Wow. So the Reds in action tonight. They have the Marlins. They're on the road to start a 6-game road trip, by the way. We'll get to the Reds coming up here around the corner. But it's May 12th. So we have to wait, June, July, and August. So we're not too far off. August 3rd is the very first preseason game, the Hall of Fame game, the Jets and the Browns. Kev and I are always like, we defer on this. Look, preseason games mean nothing. I'm not tuning in because I'm excited to see a bunch of names I don't know anything about. But at least preseason games, you're watching a team that's wearing NFL jerseys kind of crack pads against one another. I can't wait. But August 3rd, at least, is the date we could circle before the NFL games officially return. Now it's just a bunch of fluff. Now it's basically what we're doing. No, my team's better than yours. No, my team's better than yours. My team's going to win this amount of games. My team ain't going to lose to your team. It's that season. And that's where we're at. So we just got to get through the rest of May and then June and July, and then at least we can get to the preseason. We'll still be doing that then, but at least we'll have some highlights and some games to watch and reference. But how about the New York Jets, by the way? They get Aaron Rodgers. And there's a ton of excitement with the Jets, as there should be. Any team that was going to get Aaron Rodgers should be excited about acquiring him at quarterback. But man, did the football gods, stick it to him. Like the New York Jets, the AFC is going to be the AFC is not going to be. It is just littered with elite quarterbacks, right? When you look at the AFC East alone, you have Josh Allen and obviously Aaron Rodgers. Two is not elite, but two is very, very good, and the Dolphins are very good. So I bring this up because there's only 7 playoff spots in the AFC. All 4 teams in the AFC East you could realistically see in the playoffs. Right? All 4 teams. The Bills, the Dolphins, the Jets, the Patriots, I think everyone has the least confidence in, but they made the playoffs 2 years ago. They won plenty of games last year. They're right there in the mix of things. They got eliminated late, very late in the season. The Patriots will always be a pain. Look at the AFC North. Top to bottom. Bengals, Browns, Ravens, Steelers. All 4 of those teams could make the playoffs. I'm not saying that they will, but, I mean, my goodness. So let's say the Bills, the Dolphins, and the Jets make the playoffs. That's 3 of the 7 spots. Now you look at the North. Now you have to take 1 team out of the North, 1 team out of the South, 1 team out of the West. That means that there is 1 spot remaining for the Chargers or the Broncos. For potentially, I mean, the AFC South is garbage, but 1 spot remaining for, let's say if Cincinnati wins the division, for Baltimore, Cleveland, or Pittsburgh, or the New England Patriots, like someone is going to be left out. And although we want to, and I want to put Aaron Rodgers and the Jets in the playoffs, folks, their playoff dreams could be just over a month and a half into the season. You can't look at it, but I'll tell you the schedule. Week 1, they open up on Monday Night Football against the Buffalo Bills. All right. Now, that's most likely a loss. The Dallas Cowboys, week 2, they're at Dallas. Say what you want about Dallas, but I thought they had a great draft. They had a great free agency period. Offensively, we can nitpick them all we want, but they were still a very explosive offense last year when Dak was healthy. So, my goodness, and they kept Pollard. So, I like what the Cowboys have. I think that could be an 0-2 start. New England is not, it's not the New England of old, but it's still Bill Belichick. It's still the New England Patriots. Then it's Kansas City in week 4. You're at Denver. I don't know what to make of Denver. I'm not giving them any respect, but, anytime I see them pop up on anyone's schedule, I'm basically giving that team a W. But if Russell Wilson has a return to Jesus moment and is who everyone thought he was, Denver, that's not a gimme either. The Jets are in trouble. Then they got the Super Bowl runner-up in Philadelphia Eagles in week 6. You're playing the 2 teams in the Super Bowl you're playing both of them in the first 6 weeks of the season, along with the Buffalo Bills and Russell Wilson and Bill Belichick. You get that bye, but then you come right out. You got the Chargers. In the first 9 weeks of the season, you're playing, the Chargers were a playoff team. The Giants were a playoff team. The Eagles were a playoff team. The Chiefs, Super Bowl champions. The Cowboys were a playoff team. And the Bills, 6 of your first 10 opponents were all playoff teams a year ago. That's good news. This schedule, this is why when people say, oh, the schedule doesn't matter, you already know who they're going to play. When you play, these teams matter. If you're a Browns fan or a Bengals fan, you should be thrilled with this Jets schedule. Now, Browns fans are more thrilled than Bengals fans. Bengals fans, you've been in the playoffs 2 straight years, AFC Championship game 2 straight years, Super Bowl 2 years ago. You're pretty confident you're making the playoffs. But keep in mind, we looked at that schedule. 11-6 is very realistic, and 11-6, that's not guaranteed to win your division. It's not guaranteed to give you the 1 seed. It's not guaranteed anything. So look at that Jets schedule. That's a good thing. That's 1 less quarterback, 1 less team potentially that we have to worry about as far as that's concerned over in the AFC when you want to talk about the playoff picture when it's all said and done. All right, Kenner and Kev here with you. Just Justin Kenner today. Kev Nash will be back with us starting next week. We got Reds baseball tonight. The Reds 5 games under 500. We did cap or no cap earlier. Said the Reds will get back to 500 before the end of the month. Everyone laughed at that. But I said no cap. I said no cap. Look, the Reds have a very good chance of getting back to 500. We're going to talk Reds baseball coming up. Kenner and Kev, 1410 Ring AM.
It's the Justin Kenner Show with Kev Nash.
Justin, you're awesome, baby.
Right here on 1410 ESPN Radio.
You'd never knowingly feed your pup mystery meat or spoiled grocery store food, so why are those some of the most common protein sources in kibble today? Yep, the dog food ingredient meat meal can be made of spoiled supermarket meat and packing plant scraps.
I'm veterinarian Dr. Marty Goldstein. Your dog needs a biologically appropriate diet similar to what they would eat in the wild. That's why I developed Nature's Blend, a freeze-dried raw food made with premium cuts of meat, omega-3 rich seeds, and superfood veggies and fruit.
Bailey is 12 years old. He has been on your food for 9 bags now.
Nature's Blend is pantry safe and has 0 artificial additives, filler, or meat meal.
More energy, able to run around and play when our grandson comes.
For a limited time, save 54% off Nature's Blend and receive a free pack of premium dog treats. Go to drmarty's.com/energy or text energy 511 511.
I can't thank you enough to help, and I'm going every day with
Paid for by Dr. Marty's Pets.
Is that a faucet running? That's not a faucet. That's a river rushing through the forest. Forest rivers provide over 100 million water. What? I can't hear you because of the vacuum. That's not a vacuum. That's the trees in the forest cleaning up the air we breathe. I didn't know the trees were so amazing. Yep. And the forest gives the shade, trees climb. Awesome. Come explore some more.
Visit the forest today and enjoy all it does just for you. To learn more about the forest found one near you, go to discovertheforest.org. Brought to you by the U.S. Forest Service and the Ad Council.
Guys, fellas, men, do you want a better sex life? Roman has genuine medication that helps you achieve and maintain what you need to perform. Roman has discreet wipes that help you last 4 times longer in bed. Roman has testosterone testing and treatment. Treating low testosterone can help revive your sex drive. So men, what are you waiting for? For a better sex life, go to ro.co/bettersex. Do it today and get 20% off. That's ro.co/bettersex.
Do you find yourself stuck in a timeshare? Get the real facts about the timeshare industry and your options for cancellation. Chuck McDowell, founder of Wesley Financial Group, has put together a free information guide that reveals the secrets the timeshare industry doesn't want you to know, including the 5 ways to get rid of your timeshare. Call now and get this timeshare cancellation guide absolutely free.
Call 800-330-2929. That's 800-330-2929. 800-330-2929.
Make sure that your home's heating and cooling system is being cared for by your local Lennox Premier dealer, William Brockman & Sons Heating and Air Conditioning. They're offering special saving opportunities on a new Lennox system. So call them today at 937-222-8638 or visit online at DaytonHeatingandCooling.com to learn more. Dealer license number, Ohio license number 14911.
Add even more curb appeal to your home with a visit to Snyder Brick and Block and Snyder Hardscapes. From stone, brick, aggregates, and topsoil, Snyder is dedicated to assisting with your next home improvement project. Visit our 2 large Dayton showrooms at 2301 West Dorothy Lane and 1733 Industrial Estates Drive for expert advice. If your project needs patio building products like flagstone, pavers, and retaining walls, we've got you covered. Visit us in person or online at SnyderOnline.com. Snyder Brick and Block, where quality makes the difference.
The days of the week mean value at the home for fun food, sports, and spirits, Frickers. Monday, boneless freaking chicken wings. Tuesday, traditional freaking chicken wings. Wednesday, sirloin steak special. Thursday, freaking chicken chunks. Frickers offers even more savings by offering double points on everyday values when you download and use the Frickers app. double points on everyday value purchases, the place that saves you more money every day is the home for fun food, sports, and spirits, Frickers.
Happy Mother's Day from the Flower Man. This year for Mom, we have beautiful, cutable arrangements at $12.99 and a dozen roses for only $12.99. Inconceivable. Thank you, Flower Man, and thank you, Mom. Roses, arrangements, and flowers from all over the world for Mom. Go to flowermanflowers.com. That's flowermanflowers.com.
Urology Specialists of Ohio are here for you. Men, your good health is important to them. Their knowledge of specific male anatomy, prostate issues, and how to help in your healing is their main focus. Urology Specialists of Ohio are now accepting new patients at all locations: Beaver Creek, Springfield, Urbana, Xenia, and London. They have been in practice for over 20 years with over 80 years of experience between 5 physicians. Call today. They can schedule your appointment in a timely manner with little wait time. Online at urologyspecialistofohio.com.
Cordell Transportation is now hiring Class A CDL drivers. Excellent pay, benefits, and a $5,000 sign-on bonus. Apply today. Online at CordellTransportation.com. Driven to succeed.
By now, you should know Audio Etc. has all the same sales and deals on TVs and projectors as everyone else. But did you know we also have some of the world's best hi-fi? Hi, this is Kirby from Audio Etc. And we do have some of the best home theater, high-fidelity gear on the planet. Not only do we have your favorite brands like Clip speakers and SVS subwoofers, but audiophile greats from Bowers & Wilkins, Kef, NAD, Marantz, Cambridge, Mark Levinson, and plenty of vinyl and tube gear. Plus exotics you only see in the magazines. Stop by today and visit Audio Etc.'s crazy cool showroom and see and audition the best audio and video it has to offer. While you're in, check out our huge selection of pre-owned vintage gear. A great way to afford great gear otherwise out of reach, or revisit old classics. Audio Etc. Sound advice you can trust. Audio Etc. 551 Congress Park Drive at the corner of Paragon in Centerville, or call 434-9770.
Audio Etc. Crazy cool showroom.
Summit Racing keeps your ride road trip ready with millions of in-stock parts from all the best brands. Summer travel starts at summitracing.com. Everything you need for anything you drive.
Hey everybody, it's Stephen A. Smith, and everyone knows my feelings on Cowboys fans. But really, Justin Kenner, you're a Cowboys fan and a Browns fan? Good Lord have mercy. I don't know what the hell to do with y'all. I really don't.
It's the Justin Kenner Show with Kev Nash. Weekdays from 3 to 6 p.m. on 1410 ESPN Radio.
All right, everybody, welcome back. Justin Kenner with you here on 1410 ESPN Radio. You know, no Kev here. Usually he keeps me in line, but, you know, sometimes I have to try to be a mature adult and ignore people's comments, but I just can't today. Because the bottom line is here's the deal. Fan is short for fanatic, and when fans have opinions, it's based on delusional fandom. There's no thought or effort put into anything that you guys, most of you, have to say when it comes to the Bengals, other than AFC Championship game back-to-back years, bro. Oh, yeah, when the Browns been to a Super Bowl? I mean, it's like the Bengals' greatest hits. It's just those same lines over and over and over. You guys lack any kind of logic. That's your go-to. When you don't have anything smart to say, you just revert to, well, when have the Browns been to a Super Bowl? That's what you guys do. And it's annoying. It's really annoying because up until 2 years ago, you didn't have that comeback. Up until 2 years ago, you didn't have that comeback. So, look, I don't mean, it is what it is. But Chad Kinzer says, Kenner is a typical Browns fan, never sees the faults in his team, and always looks to be a Cincy hater. Chad, when you're done with the crying and being a crybaby, you'll be able to understand that what are we doing here? I said a little bit ago, I didn't say that the Browns are better than the Bengals. I said that the Browns' schedule allows them to be in position to win more games than the Bengals. But again, crybabies like you and Mr. Gary Peck and Mr. Doug Toby, you guys you can't seem to get it. You can't seem to understand. You don't understand. Now you've angered me. You've upset me a bit. Let's start with Mr. Doug Toby. Chad, that was a ridiculous comment. It's laughable at best. I mean, I hope that the Dayton Funny Bone calls you and you tell them that you have a very good stand-up bit, because you're going to get lots of laughs with ridiculous takes like that. In fact, I'm going to keep the laugh track going because there's more embarrassing takes that are coming in. How about this from Doug Toby? He goes, Kenner, you hate for rewarding bad teams in the draft, but you seem okay with teams getting a weak schedule for being bad. What are you talking about? What are we doing here? If for those who want to know context here, a little bit ago, it's not Kenner's rule. I don't make the rules here. I simply explained that I feel like the Browns will finish with a better record than the Bengals because they have an easier schedule. That actually, as a Browns fan, is a pretty logical thing to say. In fact, if I was being a homer, I would avoid that talking point because I would want my team to sound better than yours. I wouldn't bring up the reason why they might have more wins. I would just say they have more wins because they're better. I didn't say they're better than your Cincinnati Bengals, your precious Cincinnati Bengals, that can't ever seem to win the big one. They get to a Super Bowl and they lose. They get to the NFC Championship game the second year and they can't get it done because you have little weird penalties. You can't even beat a team that doesn't have a number one wide receiver. I don't want to hear it. Now you push the buttons. Congratulations. You've won. You happy now, Mr. Doug Toby? The bottom line is this. So when I brought up that the Browns have a shot to get more wins than the Bengals because they play an easier schedule, I was bringing up that Bengals fans forget that the Bengals do play a more difficult schedule because of the fact of how good that they are. I complimented your team, but you're being such a crybaby. You can't even understand when I'm complimenting your team. My goodness, what are we doing here? I love that you say, oh, well, other people could have their opinion. You could have your opinion, but when you're going to come at me, I'm going to come back at you. That's the thing. I'm no different than you. I'm a fan too. But I use more logic for my takes than you do. I get paid for my takes. You just sit there and eat Cheetos and just weigh in and just bash the host. That's fine. That's your right. But unlike other hosts, I combat a little bit. I like to go back and forth a little bit. You decide to say your part. I'm saying my part now. So as far as rewarding teams with a bad schedule, I don't really know what goes into making the schedules, why they do it that way, but the NFL is the best league for a reason because of the parity and because of how they balance the league. You can go from worst to first at the snap of a finger, like the Cincinnati Bengals when you won 2 games and got rewarded with Joe Burrow. You won 4 games and got rewarded with Jamar Chase. I mean, I can go on and on. Let's just be real. So in both of those takes have nothing to do with the other, but you're salty, you're upset because I brought up good points. And the only thing that you could do is try to just poke at me and congratulations, you got the best of me. All right, now let's move on to Mr. Gary Peck. Gary Peck says, LOL, Kenner, you make fun of the Bengals for being a slow starter. First of all, Gary, once again, another guy, a grown man, caught up in his feelings because he's misconstruing what I'm saying. How was I making fun of the Bengals for being a slow starter? That is a valid talking point. I've never once made fun of the Bengals for that. That's a valid point. The Bengals were a 500 team the year that they made it to the Super Bowl a month and a half into the season before they got hot. The Bengals were a very average team the first month and a half last season before they got hot. That is not a hot take, Mr. Peck. That is not an opinion, Mr. Peck. That is a fact, Mr. Peck, that the Joe Burrow era with Zach Taylor, they are a slow starting team. I am not making fun. I am using logic to give you my opinion. So once again, another grown man caught up in his feelings, letting logic get in his way. I understand you go through life without using logic, Mr. Peck. I use logic. I'm using logic in this situation. So let's continue because Mr. Peck had more to say. Meanwhile, the Browns have won 1 opening day game in the last 18 years. Once again, the Cleveland Browns, this year's roster was not last year's roster or the year before that's roster or the roster from 17, 16, 15 years ago, Mr. Peck. This is about this year's team. This is about this year's roster. This is about this year's situation. Now, you're probably going to say, well, Kenner, you're using the last couple of years as far as the Bengals being a slow starter. Absolutely. There's 2 different things here. You're talking about the Browns winning in week 1. Look, the Browns struggle winning a lot of games. They don't win a lot of games at home. They don't win a lot of games on the road, but they also haven't had a complete roster. They have a complete roster now. The Cincinnati Bengals, under Joe Burrow and Zach Taylor, they don't start out hot. That is just that's just how they are. All right. And the Browns, they don't win a lot of games, but this is a different roster. This is a different era. I don't want to hear about all that stuff from the past. The difference is you're taking a shot at the Browns. I wasn't taking a shot at the Bengals. That's a legit talking point. Now you're bringing up those numbers. Oh, they haven't won in 18 years and opening day and all that stuff. More power to you. But that has nothing to do with this. Absolutely none. I mean, the Cincinnati Bengals, how many bad talking points were there about them before they made it to the Super Bowl 2 years ago? So stop moving the goalpost just to be a hater, dude. You're embarrassing yourself. He goes on to say, last year on a last-second 58-yard field goal, he goes, you talk about other people embarrassing themselves. Oh, Mr. Peck. We're good. Bottom line is, I do not. think that the Cincinnati Bengals are a bad team. I do not think that they are as good as they were last year. You don't move on from Von Bell, and you don't move on from Jesse Bates, and you don't move on from P. Ryan, and you don't move on from the guys that they lost and not replace them with any. You don't upgrade any of those positions and then try to convince me that you're a better team, Mr. Peck. So there's that. All right. Chad, I know you're funny, dude. All good. Chad says, I just love giving you crap. You give it to us Bengals fans, so I got to do it while I can. In a few years, we'll both be looking up in the division. Hey, don't be bringing me down with you. Don't be bringing me down. You're going to have a quarterback making $10 million a year more than my quarterback, and we'll have more flexibility, and we'll still find a way to mess it up, I'm sure, Mr. Chad Kinser. But yeah, no. Love, it is what it is. But all right, can it be just August already? Can it be September already? I don't want to argue with the Mr. Pecks and the Doug Tobys and the Chad Kinsers of the world for the next 4 months. We need to hurry up and get to the season. I'm tired of this. I was trying to move on to talk about Reds baseball, but you pulled me back in. Question, Mr. Kinser, Mr. Doug Toby, Mr. Gary Peck. Do I have permission to move on to the Reds? Have we got everything out that we need to about the Bengals and about the Browns? Are we good? Ron Howard says, you crap on the Bengals because of success. So what has Cleveland done lately? All right. I don't crap on the Bengals because of success. I crap on the Bengals for delusional fans who overblow the success that they've had. That's all. And as far as the Cleveland Browns, they haven't done anything lately. They were trending in the right direction when they won in the playoffs a couple years ago, and they haven't capitalized on that. Bottom line, I'm critical of my team. Last year before the season started, guess what? I said the Browns will not make the playoffs this year. Does that sound like a homer take? No, that does not sound like a homer take at all. That sounds like a guy who's pretty logical in his thinking, who's pretty even-keeled when it comes to the Cleveland Browns. I'm very well aware of the Cleveland Browns and their deficiencies, but I also know what their strengths are. Just like I know the strengths of the Bengals and the deficiencies that they have. The difference is I weigh those. You guys don't. So next up. Chad says, absolutely. Let's move on to Reds talk. Yes, let's talk about the horrible team in Cincinnati. Sean Matthew says the Reds are 4.5 games out of first. Talk about the Reds. Thank you, Mr. Sean Matthew. Thank you, Mr. Sean Matthew. Justin Smith, he goes, that's okay. These annoying Bengals fans will go back. They'll go away again after they miss the playoffs this year. I didn't say they'd miss the playoffs, but Justin, didn't you? I think Justin Smith on a recent post recently said that the Bengals would miss the playoffs. I think that was you that said that, right? Didn't you say that you heard it here first or something along those lines? But either way, that's where we're at. All right, Justin Kenner with you here on 1410 ESPN Radio. Scott Campbell says, let's go Reds. All right, you know what? That's it. You guys have convinced me. Oh, Justin Smith says, book it. Book it. All right, let's talk about the Cincinnati Reds. We talked about them to open up the show a little bit ago, and here we are. So the Cincinnati Reds, as you mentioned, Mr. Sean Matthew, yes, they are 4.5 games out of first place. Now, I want to, as I transition over to this Reds conversation here, keep in mind, the Cincinnati Reds, I do not believe are a playoff team, okay? I don't believe that they are the best team in this division, not by a long shot. But the longer we go into a season, keep in mind, my take on the Reds coming in was, can you just give me April? Can you give me April? As a sports talk radio host, give me April. Let's have some fun baseball talk in April. And then we'll forget about you come May. But here we are. It's May 12th, and the Reds are still interesting. The Reds just took 2 of 3 from the New York Mets. The Reds are 16-21. All right, and the Reds have a stretch coming up that I find very interesting. I find this stretch for them coming up to be very interesting because the one thing I've always said is that good teams always beat bad teams. Okay, good teams always beat bad teams, and obviously the deficiencies with the Reds are they're not beating a lot of good teams. The Reds are not beating a lot of good teams, but they're beating up all the bad teams. When the Reds run into a bad team, they take advantage of it. Keep in mind, as we sit here in May, and I know we don't talk about standings and all that. I know that a couple of the listeners have already brought up the fact that the Reds are 4.5 out of first. The Reds are 4.5 out of first, but let's look at the wild card. The Cincinnati Reds are technically, they're 2.5 games out of the wild card as we sit here in mid-May. And the reason I bring this up is because you guys are going to sit here and say, well, who cares? They're going to continue losing and all this stuff. Continue losing. They're 5 games under 500. And in fact, I know I don't like this about baseball, but they found some random stat that from like April 24th to now, they're the only team with double-digit wins in the NL Central, and they have the most wins of any team in the NL Central since then. The Reds have been rolling a little bit. They're not going to sweep teams. They're not going to overwhelm teams. They're not going to dominate teams. But give the Reds credit. They're beating bad teams. The old Reds lose to bad teams. I know this sounds like a very loser statement that I'm making here, but the bottom line is that the Reds are doing what they're supposed to. I give David Bell credit. This team has holes and deficiencies everywhere, but they're responding to them. They're competing. Their bullpen, which was the worst in the league last year, they brought the entire bullpen back from last year, and they're one of the best bullpens in baseball right now. They're not swinging the bat at a level that I wish they would, but I think reinforcements are on their way. Encarnacion Strand, you look at Ellie De La Cruz, they have this McCain kid in Louisville. Louisville has the Reds lineup right now. When you take the three studs that they have in the minors with the Louisville bats right now, and you add Jonathan India and Tyler Stevenson, and you all of a sudden the Reds have 5 legitimate guys that can put the bat on the ball and put pressure on opposing pitching. And now you have legitimate dudes in the bullpen. You have an actual closer in Alexis Diaz. I love the setup guys that they have out of the pen. I love what the Reds have going on. I wish that the starters would be more consistent, but you have Hunter Green, who's just a few years removed from high school, who's doing amazing things, and he's been up and down. The Reds have financially taken care of him. I'm a big fan of Lodolo. I love the way he started the season. He's in a rough patch right now. Ashcraft's been the most consistent of them all. He's coming off of a bad outing. But, man, the Reds have a legitimate 3 starters. They have 3 legitimate starters, one of the best bullpens in baseball, and arguably the best young talent in baseball is coming up through the system right now. I'm jacked about the future of the Reds and that future right now. I've always said if you could accidentally win while rebuilding, then that's just the cherry on top, and that's where the Reds are right now. So, with that being said, the Reds are 16-21. They're 2.5 games out of the wild card, 4.5 out of the division. I don't really care about this too much, but the wild card, they might accidentally find themselves in the mix. So, with the Reds at 16-21, I threw out earlier, will the Reds be 500 by the end of May? Look at what they have coming up right now. The Reds right now are starting a series with the Marlins. Okay, they're starting a series with the Marlins, and the Marlins are 19-19. They're a 500 team. They're 4-6 in their last 10, but their run differential, they're minus 54 as far as run differential is concerned. They're not a good baseball team. They're just like the Reds though. They're 500, but the Reds have been beating 500 and below teams all season. The Reds can do they could do damage against this Marlins team coming up, okay? And then after that, they have 3 with the Colorado Rockies. The Rockies are another team that they're well below 500 as well. They have 3 with the Rockies on the road. Now, the Reds have the Yankees after that. Now, the Yankees are very, very good. However, they're last place in their division. They're 21-18, but they're banged up. I saw a stat or a number the other day that if you take the payroll of all the guys that are on the IL, it's more than half of the teams in Major League Baseball combined. $111 million worth of talent on the IL for the Yankees. That's a great opportunity for the Reds to take advantage of that, and they have the Yankees at home. Then after that, you have the St. Louis Cardinals. Normally, the Cardinals coming up on the schedule is a bad thing, but the St. Louis Cardinals are the worst team in the National League, and you have 4 with the Cardinals all at home. And then you have the Cubs right after that. The Cubs are 18-19, another team under 500. Look, the Reds can do some things. This is more about the lack of talented teams around them than it is about them. But that doesn't mean that we can't be excited about the circumstances that they find themselves in. Taking 2 or 3 from the Mets was a big deal. Going up against the Mets pitching was a big deal. The Mets have underperformed, no doubt about it. But I feel pretty good about the direction of the Reds right now. And the fact that we're talking about meaningful baseball games in May, and that is such a loser comment to make. I get that. But that's where we're at. We're entering mid-May, and the Reds are in the thick of it. They have a shot. The NL Central is not very good. So I'm talking on both sides of my mouth. I'm not really telling you how great that the Reds are, but I'm telling you that the Reds have enough to be interesting. And I think that they can get better if they do make these call-ups, like with McCain and, of course, with Ellie De La Cruz and Strand and these guys, like, look out. And the Reds have some top, pitching prospects as well. Like, I think the Reds are a lot closer than we think. I think we are 2 years out from being legitimate contenders. I think we are a year out from being wild card contenders. But they might accidentally find themselves, and they already have, in the mix of things from a wild card perspective. That's kind of where I'm bullish with the Reds right now. I feel pretty good about it. So, that's kind of where I'm at as far as that's concerned. Randy Bertholf says, that the Reds are far exceeding expectations, and I'm here for it. I have friends actually trying to go to Great American Ballpark for the first time in a while. Really excited about our future. See, and like that's the thing. I think the Reds are starting to regain some of the trust from the fans. And I've always said this. People keep saying, I'm not going to go to the game because of the owner. Let me ask you, was your motivation before to go to the game because of the owner? Were the Castellinis the reason you would go to games before? Then why are they the reason you don't go to games now? I know it was annoying what he said. I know they don't make the decisions that we wish that they would make. But at the end of the day, got to give Nick Craw in this front office credit, because although we didn't agree with the decision to tear everything down, they tore this down a year ago, and we're already seeing immediate results from it. Baseball is usually a much slower burn than this. And if a year ago from now, if you would have told me that the Reds, we'd already start to see this team be super competitive already, I would have laughed at that. They're competitive as hell right now. And it's with a lot of the guys that the Reds made moves on over the last couple of years. I give the front office and Nick Craw a ton of credit. You don't have to like the owners. But I don't like a whole lot of owners. I mean, of all the teams I follow, I don't like the Haslams. I don't care about the Haslams. Keep spending money. That's fine. Whatever. Bengals fans, you're big Bengals fans. You have a crappy owner. Who cares? So if the Reds have bad ownership, who cares? It stinks. But you know what? They're winning, or they're at least competitive. Maybe not winning, but they're competitive. But they're winning more than we thought. Randy, thank you for that. Sean Matthews says, hopefully the Friedel injury does not hurt them a lot. I saw that he got a scan done earlier today. I have not come across any results as far as that's concerned. Scott Campbell says, Miami's park plays big. Expect the Reds to be aggressive on the bases tonight. Scott, that's the thing about the Reds, though. The biggest reason, if we want to talk about why the Reds have improved so much from year to year, is because if this was a year ago, I think that the Reds would have the worst record in Major League Baseball right now. If this was a year ago, this same roster, same everything. Banning the shift has given the Reds, an opportunity unlike any other. The Reds are one of the worst power teams in baseball. In fact, you want to look at the Guardians. That's another team that's 17 wins right now, a game above the Reds right now in the American League. They're one of the worst power teams as well. The Reds and the Guardians just do not hit home runs. And if it wasn't for the banning of the shift, neither of those teams would have the wins that they do right now. The Reds would probably, they're sitting at 16 wins. They'd probably have 7 or 8 wins if it wasn't for the banning of the shift, because they can't hit home runs. They can't hit the ball to the ballpark. It's wild to me that that's the case, because at the end of the day, at the end of the day, the small ball aspect is what I've always gotten on David Bell and the Reds about, like, play more small ball. Well, they refused to play small ball with the shift, against the shift. Now it's opened up the door to go back to some of those old school philosophies, and I'm having a blast watching the game again. Like, I enjoy home runs, don't get me wrong, but single run blasts or bringing in multiple runs off of a single into the outfield, like, I'm fine with. I'd prefer that, more action. The Reds always seem to be in it because they don't have guys that are hitting the ball to the ballpark, but they're continuously putting guys on base and continuously putting the pressure on opposing pitching. I'm a fan of it. Ron Howard says Reds payroll exceeds the Rays. What's the problem? Coach's system. Look, Ron, what the Rays are doing is it's unprecedented. It doesn't make sense. Like, what the Rays are doing just doesn't make sense. So to sit there and say that, well, the Rays could do it, you could do it. Look, baseball is so finicky. There's so many moving parts that I don't think, like, it's one of the few. And by the way, the teams with the highest of payrolls, yeah, they're more fun to watch and they're competitive, but they're not. It's not like that's a bulletproof plan to succeed. It's just not. It gives you an opportunity, more of a long-winded opportunity. But just because, like, if the Reds the Reds spent money a few years ago and it didn't work. The Reds spent money on Moustakas, and they spent money on Castellanos, and they spent money on all these dudes. And were they more competitive? Yes, but ultimately they spent a lot of money just to be average. Spending money doesn't matter if you don't have the right young pieces to complement the guys you're bringing in. And the Reds have a youth movement right now that when the Reds do spend money to bring in legitimate free agents, that's when this team's going to take off. And that could potentially be a year from now. I still think it's 2. But if the development of Ellie De La Cruz and Encarnacion Strand and McCain and these guys, and you add them, or McCann, and you add them with Indy and Stevenson, and you look at what they have in the bullpen, if the talent progresses at a pace that speeds along the process, I could see the Reds making major moves this upcoming offseason. I'm curious to see what the Reds do at this trade deadline coming up. I feel like we're going to be disappointed because I think that the Reds are going to try to be as patient as they can. We don't need to move on from pieces and bring in pieces to be competitive in the second half of the season. We don't want to lose prospects at the expense of a second half run when they're trying to build this thing big picture. That's where I see us running into issues with ownership coming up as far as fans not understanding how all this works. But I think that's kind of where this is going as far as that's concerned. David Shaw says, I don't go to games there because they're so damn expensive. Chad Kinser says, I hope you're right. I miss watching the Reds at the very least be competitive. I will say this, though. They're more competitive. They're fun to watch. That ballpark's still pretty dang empty, though. That ballpark is empty. David Shaw says the Reds do it every year, though. Or the Rays do it every year, though. Shaw, what do you mean? That's what I don't care that they do it every year. That's my point. They do it every year at this clip, but like no other team's replicating that. Like they're a unicorn. Like what they're doing doesn't make sense. It's never made sense, but it works. But baseball is difficult because it's one of the few sports that you can't just, it's not a, I mean, it's kind of it's a sport that everyone plays the same. But that's what's bad about the sport is I wish there was a blueprint that was successful for everybody. You know, the NFL, everyone passes. In the NBA, everyone shoots threes. Baseball, everyone was trying to hit home runs. Now the banning of the shift, it's allowed teams to kind of play to their strengths a little bit. But the Rays, what they're doing is, you know, even the Guardians last year and the Rays, you know, and I don't know how long they have to do this for it to be sustainable, but the Rays need to get another World Series out of it, right? Like otherwise you're winning a lot of games and coming up just short. And then you're going to be asking yourself, then we win a lot of games. We have a lot of success with homegrown guys, but man, we should spend a little more money, you know, by us not spending money. You know, it's impressive. Like the Guardians last year. That's awesome that you made the playoffs and made a run with one of the lowest payrolls in baseball. But don't you think you're kicking yourself now saying, man, if we would have paid a little more and brought in more talent that we would have got to the finish line? That's kind of where I'm at with the Rays. To me, you got to finish the race. If you're the Rays, you got to win the World Series. You can't just win a ton of games, be fun to watch, and then still not get the end result you're looking for. If you win all these games and continue to not win the World Series, yeah, you're winning a lot of games with this blueprint, but ultimately every team's blueprint should be to win it all. So I think that's kind of where I'm at. The Guardians fans last year were super jacked, taking shots at the Reds. We have a smaller payroll than you, and look at where we're at. Well, you came up short. And if you would have, I think it's more embarrassing that you got that far with that low of a payroll because now it puts you in a spot where, well, man, maybe if we would have paid for this guy or brought in that guy or made a trade for this, maybe we would be a lot further. So that's kind of where I'm at as far as that goes. Shaw records games. That's what Chad Kinser says. Shaw, no one's ever going to let you live that down. You know that, right? No one's ever going to let you live that down. All right, Gary Peck still mad at me from the Browns conversation earlier. Gary Peck says, Justin Kinner show yawn. The Browns owned the Bengals until Watson played. Dude, you are so strange, man. You are literally Deshaun Watson has been an elite quarterback his entire career, and you were erasing it because of 6 games. Now, Deshaun very well could be bad moving forward. That is something that I'm mentally preparing for in case that is the case. Do I think that's going to be the case? No. Is there any reason out there other than the fact that everyone hates the Browns to think that Deshaun is just going to be ass the rest of his career? Other than him being a Browns quarterback, what are the reasons why everyone is just so positive he's going to be ass the rest of the way? I would love to know. Because let me tell you this, Mr. Peck. If Andrew Luck came out of retirement right now and went back to the Colts or the Raiders got him or the Commanders got him or whoever, everyone would lose their freaking mind. Andrew Luck is back. He's already a top 10 quarterback. He's going to lead whatever team he's on to the playoffs. Andrew Luck, baby. Why would we do that for him and not Deshaun? Because we don't like Deshaun. I think every reason that Deshaun was rusty the last year for those 6 games would be the same reasons that Andrew Luck would be rusty. But Mr. Peck and all other fans out there would give the benefit of the doubt to Andrew Luck that they're not giving to Deshaun Watson. Deshaun Watson's a scuzzball. I get that. I don't need to keep, sitting there swatting those dumb takes away every single time. By the way, most athletes are scuzzballs. Let's just be real. To sit there and act like all these dudes are just at home reading the Bible between games, it makes you sound more foolish than me. So let's just get that out of the way real quick. Okay? It is what it is. Stop with that. Oh, Deshaun, they owned the Bengals till Deshaun came in. Are you kidding me? Literally, he had other than Amari Cooper, they had no weapons in the end zone, and this is a excuse bell time. One reason that they drafted Tillman and why he was so high up on their board is because the fact that they have no big targets in the end zone, and David Njoku should be that guy, and he dropped how many? There was 3 passes against the Cincinnati Bengals in the end zone that were dropped. That's not an excuse. That's just a fact. What, did Deshaun Watson throw it too hard? Is that on Deshaun Watson that the receivers don't catch the football? Deshaun Watson doesn't have a Jamar Chase or a T. Higgins. So say what you want there. All right? Say whatever you want. But, I mean, one loss against the Bengals means that their run against the Bengals is over. 6 bad games after an entire career of statistically being up there with the best in the football today. When you talk about the first 60 games of these guys' careers, he's up there with the Josh Allens, Joe Burrows, and Patrick Mahomes. So what are you talking about, bro? Stop with these lazy, weird takes. And this isn't a difference in an opinion. You attack me every time on social media, every single time with these weird personal takes. And it's so strange to me. Gary Peck continues, just answer one simple question you always avoid by trying to belittle the one asking. What criteria in your mind makes Watson elite? Gary Peck, my eyes, and everyone else's eyes, even Bengals fans, most of them would tell you Deshaun Watson, when he was in Houston, was an elite quarterback. You don't want to give that to him now because you don't like the Cleveland Browns, but my eyes, Gary, and common sense, Mr. Peck, that's what it is. Go look at his stats. Go look at his games. I watched all his games in Houston. Like, we know that he was the real deal in Houston. We know he was the real deal in Houston. Statistically, and I'm glad you brought this up, you want to look at completion percentage matched up to Joe Burrow. Joe Burrow completes 68% of his passes, 67 for Deshaun Watson. Passing yards per game, 260 for Joe Burrow, 252 for Deshaun Watson. And that number went down significantly. It actually went down 8 yards per game because of this past 6-game run with the Cleveland Browns after missing 2 years and starting a preseason, then being suspended for the 11 games and then coming back. Okay, yes, excuses, but it's also common sense. Mr. Peck, you wanted answers. I'm giving you answers. Touchdown percentage. Deshaun Watson has a better touchdown percentage than Joe Burrow. All right, he has more passing touchdowns than Joe Burrow. He's played in a season's worth more of games than Joe Burrow, but that season's worth of more games than Joe Burrow is still 32 more touchdowns than Joe Burrow. So take out the 32. They're pretty dang even. That's my point. Joe Burrow's elite. Josh Allen's elite. Patrick Mahomes is elite. If you go break down all of them statistically, touchdowns per game, passing percentage, passing yards per game, they're all the same. You wanted answers. You got answers. So now that you have answers, what are you going to do with those answers? Are you going to say that you're wrong? Because you are. Or what are you going to do? What are you going to do with that? You're going to run and use 6 games to replace the entire career of Deshaun Watson? Deshaun Watson had an MVP-like season the last year that he was in Houston. Houston won 4 games. You put that all on him. But they had no offensive line. They had no run game. One of the worst defenses in the league. They kept trading away talent. They moved on from Hopkins. In fact, they moved on from Hopkins. Deshaun, his numbers got better. So, Mr. Peck, again, explain to me why you think he is like the lowest of low quarterback-wise. You think he's a low person. I can't really defend him there. Quarterback-wise, though, I could sit here all day. Mr. Peck. My goodness. I mean, yards per attempt, better. Adjusted yards per attempt, better. Yards per completion, better. I mean, net yards per pass attempt. All this stuff that I really don't care about, but like when you do the chart side by side, Watson, Burrow, whenever you look at any of the stats that Watson's better than Burrow, it's slightly. With the stats that Burrow's better than Watson, it's slightly. The only thing that's not slightly is how wrong you are, because you're major wrong. That's where we're at. I was trying to talk about the Reds and the success of the Reds. And then, so as far as addressing my comments later, please address it as an adult would do. I just did, Mr. Peck. So there you go. I'd really love to know what you're going to do with all that information. I would really love to know what you're going to do with all that information. I mean, the win-loss thing for a quarterback is as silly as the win-loss for a starting pitcher in baseball. I've always rolled my eyes at the starting pitcher win-loss record for guys, because you're at the mercy of what's around you. Johnny Cueto would have won the. I mean, we saw years ago that Trevor Bauer won the Cincinnati Reds' first ever Cy Young Award. It should not have been the first ever Cy Young Award for the Cincinnati Reds, because if you would have gone back to that 2014 season and you look at Johnny Cueto had the lowest ERA in baseball. He was, top 3 in strikeouts that season. And the only reason he didn't is because the Reds gave him the worst run production in the league. So does that mean he's bad? He had the most loss. His loss totals were up there with the highest loss totals in baseball. Does that mean that he was bad, or does that mean the weapons around him were bad? Mr. Peck, I would love for you to answer that. If you're going to be very condescending with your constant questions and sending weird messages on Facebook and all this, and you want to try and have a back and forth with me, I'm having a back and forth with you. I'm just proving you're wrong. You're wrong, Mr. Peck. And that's not an opinion. I just use facts to back all of that up. Anyways, I don't know why I'm letting you get me in a bad mood. It's a great weekend. Can't wait to golf. Is it raining? Please say it ain't raining. Okay, it's still kind of cloudy out, but we're good. We're good. Chad Kinster says, until Watson shows he isn't Watson from years ago, he should be a feared quarterback. I'm a realistic Bengals fan. Look, by the way, I'm not going to lie to you. The 6 games from Watson has me slightly concerned. But I'm not going to ignore all the circumstances around it, even if the circumstances around those 6 games are self-inflicted. Deshaun Watson, okay, regardless of whether he was found guilty or not, got himself caught up in a situation that led to a major distraction. But I've always said this before about any talent in any sport and really in any industry. Does the talent outweigh the noise? I'm not defending West Virginia's decision to keep Bob Huggins, by the way, but Bob Huggins is one of the, when an individual screws up and says something bad, it's easy for an organization to move on from them if their talent doesn't match, if their talent's not worth the noise. If Bob Huggins was an average basketball coach, folks, and he said what he said, he would have been fired the second that it was said. But Bob Huggins is a good enough basketball coach that his name and his talent is worth the noise that's coming with all the backlash, right? Like, that's really what this all comes down. Deshaun Watson, with how tough it is to find quarterbacks in the NFL, it may not be morally right of the Cleveland Browns to do what they did, but at the end of the day, is Deshaun Watson, is he worth the noise? Well, the guy that we saw in Houston, absolutely worth all the backlash you're going to get. Now, he didn't look worth the noise in those 6 games, but we saw glimpses. We saw little flashes here and there. The connection and the chemistry he has with Amari Cooper and Donovan Peoples-Jones is just fantastic. Now you get a full offseason where they open up the offense. I like where they're going to go. But, Chad, yes, thank you for that. I agree. I have to see it first, but I have seen it already in Houston. But that 6 games is what everyone is going to label him with, and that's fine if you want to do that. If I was a Bengals fan and I hated a Browns fan, I probably wouldn't give them the benefit of the doubt either. But I have a mic, and I'm going to use it to try to point out some of those things, and might be an excuse bell for all those, but it is what it is as far as that's concerned. Jacob Fightmaster says, this whole quarterback matchup will be solved this season. I would say if the Bengals sweep the Browns on the season, Watson is not as good as Burrow. First of all, that's not true. I don't like that at all, because Baker Mayfield has 3 wins against Joe Burrow. Is Baker Mayfield better than Joe Burrow, Mr. Fightmaster? Is Baker Mayfield better than Joe Burrow? No, not even close. But he has 3 wins against him. But by your theory and your logic, Baker Mayfield is better than Joe Burrow, and that's not the case. I would say it's a team that has a quarterback on a rookie deal, that has their best 2, actually the team's best 3 players all on rookie deals. I would say it's a team that has been able to spread out their money all over the offensive line and all over the defense for the time being. I would say that is one reason why when the Bengals don't fulfill what they're supposed to, that's pretty embarrassing on their end. You have another team who has all their money in their quarterback, running back, and a pass rusher, and you're wanting them to match the same production of others. I'll take the team that does more with less. I'll take the Browns. If they do more with less, I think it's more impressive than when the Bengals win games, because all their skill position, and kudos to the Bengals for drafting them, and kudos to the evaluation, and kudos to coaching them in that position. Yes, but to sit there and say that 2 years from now, when all the payroll kicks in for all these dudes and the Bengals are not very good, especially defensively, are we going to sit? We're going to bring those. That stuff matters, Jacob. That stuff matters. Baker's not better. That's not what I said. Someone just said, I can't believe you think he's better. He's not better. I just brought up the fact. He said that if Joe Burrow continues to beat Deshaun Watson, that means he's better. By the way, let's be clear. I love Deshaun Watson, the quarterback, but if I had to pick between Burrow and Watson, I would feel more comfortable with Burrow right now, because we know who Burrow is. There's no outside noise. Burrow's playing in AFC title games and has played in a Super Bowl. Yes, Burrow right now, I would pick Burrow over Watson. But to act like the Browns have a poverty quarterback is just ridiculous. It just is. And I think at the end of the day, if Deshaun returns to who he was in Houston, he can throw it like Burrow, but he could do what Burrow can't, and that is be a fully versatile quarterback and make plays with his legs. But I will give Burrow a lot of credit. He is kind of sneaky athletic, right? He makes plays with his legs when he has to. He makes something out of nothing. Burrow's capable of doing it, but you're not drawing up plays by design for that. You could do that with Deshaun. Very versatile. I think he could be way better than Lamar, because I don't think he's as good a runner as Lamar, but if you're the second or third best running quarterback in the NFL and a top 5 passing quarterback, I'm fine with that too. Anyways, other than Mr. Peck, I appreciate everyone who's had a normal conversation as far as this goes. I wanted to talk Reds, but I appreciate those who did chime in on the Reds as far as that's concerned. Tommy Handworker says, how many years has Watson been in the top 5 quarterbacks? I believe he's only been in the top 5 once. I mean, what's your definition of a top 5 quarterback? I mean, that bar continuously moves. But as far as I'm concerned, I mean, he's not a top 5 quarterback right now. But Deshaun Watson, drafted in 2017, first 2 years were very, very good. But then after that, he was at elite status. I mean, he had elite weapons he was working with until they pulled him all away. Remember, the Houston Texans, they just did this weird thing where they would make the playoffs and then they'd move on from Hopkins. Every time they'd get a good talent, they'd take weapons away. It just didn't make any sense. Houston is just a bad organization. Jacob Fightmaster says, if you pick Burrow, then you just answered the debate. Burrow is better than Watson. I didn't answer the debate, Jacob Fightmaster. You made a very silly point. You said that because if Burrow goes on to beat Deshaun Watson, which the last I checked, it's not a WWE main event in a wrestling ring where it's Deshaun Watson against Joe Burrow. That's the Browns versus the Bengals. But the bottom line is, I don't think that the team's success dictates whether the quarterback is better or not. I mean, as far as I'm concerned, that just because the Bengals if they go on to beat Deshaun Watson the next 2 games and he's 0-3 against the Bengals, does that mean Burrow's better? Well, does that mean that Baker Mayfield's better than Joe Burrow because he has 3 wins against Burrow? Why are we doing this? I don't know why. This show got off the rails because Kev's not here. This is exactly what happened. Kev leaves. Now, the show's just off the rails. But I blame Mr. Peck. Mr. Peck is the problem. All right. Kenner and Kev, 1410 Wing AM. We'll step away for a few minutes. We'll pick up with repeating that cap or no cap. I thought there were some good ones in there. We'll talk about Kyle McCord, all that fun stuff. Kenner and Kev here on a Friday. We'll be right back.
Listen, stream, watch. It's the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash right here on Dayton's ESPN Radio, 1410 Wing AM.
What up, world? This is your boy, Kevin Hart, a.k.a. the comedic rock star. And guess what? I'm coming to a city near you with my new tour, Reality Check. And we are adding shows, doing it big. Brand new hour material, big laughs, big energy. Make sure you're in the building. Don't miss your chance to get your tickets.
Don't miss Kevin Hart, Reality Check Tour at Nutter Center on May 16th. Get tickets now.
Go to KevinHartNation.com now.
Do you or any of your family members, neighbors, or friends own a property that you just want to be done with it? If so, call TurboTrack Realty today for an all-cash offer at 614-470-2000, 614-470-2000. Would it be convenient for you to take what you wanted and leave the rest behind? Great, I'll buy it. Call 614-470-2000. That's 614-470-2000.
Get 11% off everything at Menards. For over 60 years, Menards has been the one-stop shop for post-frame buildings. Whether it's protecting equipment, livestock, or you just need a place to keep your toys, Menards has a post-frame building for you. Now, you can design and buy the post-frame building of your dreams and get free estimates fast. There's no limit to what you can save with 11% off everything now at Menards.
Save big money at Menards.
Hey Dayton, this is Dan First, 5th generation at First Florist and Greenhouses. Our garden center is now open for this season and full of beautiful garden plants, vegetables, and more. You'll be amazed at the quality and volume of plants in stock. So stop in and visit us at 1306 Troy Street in Dayton. Call us at 937-223-1213 or visit us online at firstflorist.com. That's FURST florist.com.
Shop First Florist, celebrating 118 years in business at the same location, 1306 Troy Street in Dayton.
If you haven't been to Chevrolet of Troy, you have to stop in today. Selection has never been better with over 300 new and pre-owned vehicles available, in stock and ready to go. It's the best in the region. We always accept employee and supplier pricing, and we make financing easy. Customer service is our top priority because we care about you. With thousands off MSRP, a full-service, state-of-the-art dealership, and huge selection, make Chevrolet of Troy your first choice. 1375 South Market Street and online at ChevroletofTroy.com.
Staples stores provide innovative products and services for small business, remote workers and learners, even teachers and parents. Explore more at your local Staples store.
If you're a sports fan in the Miami Valley, make sure you subscribe to Dayton's ESPN Radio YouTube channel. Buckeyes, Browns, Bengals, local high school sports, Dayton Flyers, Wright State Raiders, and more. Search ESPN Dayton on YouTube and subscribe today.
All right, everybody, welcome in. Happy Friday. Entering Cav, minus Cav today. You're stuck. That's me, Justin, with you here live on Dayton ESPN radio station, 1410 Wing AM. I hope everyone's had a great week. I hope everyone's had a